Hey, welcome, jerks. Mike Crawford here. We're waiting for the 3Ms to show up, all three of us, but two of us are here. Myself, the other two. Mazza Media is going to be a little late, but we have attorney Mark Bederow, first and foremost. Who's here? Welcome, attorney Bederow.
How are you?
Good. How you doing tonight?
Good. Just trying to stay dry. We're getting some heavy storms here.
Yeah, Massachusetts too. Eastern
The whole,
eastern part of the state. We're getting some rain right now too. So
yep.
hope everyone's safe inside. Roll up your windows in your car. If you still have them down from today, how hot it was, you roll them up. But we're waiting for Mazza, but I definitely wanted to get to the big news of the day so far with we got attorney Yannetti, who just posted a statement through I think it was Boston 25, yeah, Ted Daniel, in response to the Commonwealth, which the Commonwealth is just it just gets funnier. So do you want to talk about that and bring it up, or just tee it up on what's going on with the Commonwealth and the jury and the jurors?
Yeah, they apparently filed a 1 page or 2 page motion today, just kind of nonchalantly, no big deal. After a news report a few days ago, which indicated they had not responded to any jurors who had reached out to them, apparently confirmed that they had some level of communication with four, I believe. Three left messages and one was spoken to. And they acknowledged for the first time that the juror they spoke to, in fact, was adamant that there were acquittals on counts 1 and 3. Of course, they were very particular to point out that there was an apparent 9-3 conviction, or for in favor of conviction anyway, hung jury on one of the lesser included offenses on count 2, which is consistent with what had been put in the defense papers. So that was fascinating and newsworthy. And then the interesting part, or the more interesting part, was their attempt to take what I call the ethical, righteous indignation approach, which is, well, we're not allowed to talk to jurors about their deliberative process and how they handle things. So, because we are so ethical, we didn't want to probe any further. God forbid we actually learn something about what happened. For what it's worth, I don't think if they spoke to jurors about the verdict or non-verdict, that does not, in my view and the defense's view, and I think a common understanding of meaning of words, I don't think that encroaches on the deliberative process. That's a result or non-result. That's not asking how'd you get there. That's the bottom line, verdict or no verdict. But they indicated ethically that they felt they couldn't do that, and then felt compelled, I suppose, to tell the one juror that did communicate with them about the verdict that they could not guarantee anonymity if this were to go any further, which is the interesting part of this, because, as you know, in the affidavits that have been submitted by the defense, they have noted jurors' concern for that, which was followed by something you almost never see, which was a motion filed by a lawyer on behalf of a juror who said, I'm essentially terrified of if I get outed. And I think we can all agree that given what the DA knew how the jurors felt, that by telling them, we can't guarantee that you can remain anonymous, that's likely to get them to stop talking. And lo and behold, apparently it did. So that's where we are. The other interesting thing about their papers, you have to read them all together and see the timeline of events here and try to understand how credible or not credible are they, how much integrity or lack thereof do they have. Because if you recall, their initial response, which was only a couple of weeks ago, sometime in mid-July, maybe 3 weeks ago, I don't remember the dates, I haven't looked at it, but their initial response was to poo-poo the defense allegations as a bunch of unfounded hearsay, conjecture, which is just a fancy word for speculation, nonsense. It's unfounded. There's no basis. There's only one interpretation of what they're saying, and that is that this is unadulterated bullshit. None of it's true. They're submitting these affidavits, but it can't be true. Well, since in the last 2 weeks, there's now 5 jurors who have come forward, whether it be to the defense or the media, and said we acquitted on 2 of the counts. There's at least one who told that to the DA. So they really can't make that argument anymore. It's certainly not unfounded. They may still believe that there is a legal basis to deny the motion, but this guffawing at the defense shenanigans, as they essentially called it, turns out to be the defense was pretty accurate, pretty credible, which is not surprising to anyone who follows this kind of thing and understands who's credible and who's not in this process. And the real question that people want to know, and I understand this, is when did they have these contacts with the jurors? When did they know, vis-a-vis the timeline of representing to the court, that this is all unfounded hearsay and whatnot? Now, the allegations were hearsay in the affidavits, but I mean, I don't think I would be poo-pooing it the way they would if I had spoken to a juror who told me, telling the DA that we acquitted on those 2 counts. So this is more fuel for the fire. It's more credibility for what the defense is saying. Whether this motion is granted or not, the defense is still playing chess to the DA's checkers because there's more news stories about it. There's more people hearing about acquittal, acquittal, acquittal. And even if there is a retrial, the prospective jurors have all heard that, we're basically retrying her, even though she's been acquitted. So that's wonderful. Don't be surprised if they ultimately dump these counts. I mean, at some point, I don't know how they're going to defend this, and it's going to really hurt them PR wise and picking a second jury. So we'll see.
We got I want to follow up a couple things you said, but it's funny because we got Peter Murphy in the chat, and I definitely want to bring him back up on the show soon. He said, I'm so pissed off since I was on your show last week. I can imagine. I wonder if it has something to do with Kevin. We could talk about him tonight. But we have so much to talk about because I want to talk about, because I feel like it was a threat. I felt like the DA was almost threatening the jurors. Like, if you keep this up, we're going to expose you.
I'm not going to go that far, but I hear you. And I mean, it clearly had a purpose and it worked. And you can't disassociate from the fact that they had absolute knowledge that the jurors did not want this to be public, that there were concerns about being outed and whatnot. And they went out of their way to tell them that, it's not necessarily an anonymous process. On the other hand, what's left unsaid is, but there are ways that this can be handled, which can protect who they are.
Exactly.
I mean, the idea that this would be on television, no, it wouldn't be. Their names would not be used. Whatever you think of this judge, and many people have very strong feelings about her, I think the one thing that people could agree about with her is that she's very protective of her jury in this case. She's kept them quiet. Their, names, she's impounded them, is the word they use in Massachusetts, I guess. Sealed is the word everyone else uses, but whatever, same point. She's not going to have a proceeding in the event that she had one, which is going to harm or scare the jurors. And you just have to wonder if the DA was, using selective facts to just, I'm not going to say threaten, but certainly give the jury.
It feels like it after all they've talked about witness intimidation and juror intimidation. It's like, what are you doing now? What are you doing, DA? I mean, if we're gonna call everybody witness intimidators, I think
I don't like it.
It's
Let me
just desserts that we could call them witness intimidators back.
I just, real quickly though, I mean, I can't fathom that anyone with a sense of justice and fairness and due process and rights to a fair trial and not getting retried for a crime for which you were acquitted, there's no harm in exploring this issue. All the arguments the DA made about waiver, about no verdict was published, they can make those arguments. But their prime lead in their introduction was, this is all a bunch of hearsay, nonsense, unfounded garbage. That's gone. By their own admission, their whole reason to really just say this is nonsense is gone. And now they're stuck with the legal argument only. So why not develop the facts, see what it is, and go from there? And you know the reason they don't want that to happen, because they're going to hear 12 out of 12 jurors come up and say that we acquitted on the 2 counts. And the real problem they have is that, as shocking as it may be to people like us and others, the fact that 9 of them at least wanted to convict on something makes them that much more credible when they come forward and said, yeah, but we acquitted on these. So to me, I don't know how they're going to go forward one way or the other on counts 1 or 3. You saw there David's statement today, that beautiful statement, perfect tone, perfect thing, put the pressure on them, just keep it up, keep your foot on the gas, whatever happens, happens. But, they're taking the perfect approach. And either way, they're gaining ground as the case moves forward over the next several months.
Yeah, I think Howie Carr talking about it too. He mentioned his latest column that
Well,
Double Jeopardy.
I call those howitzers now. It's a howitzer, but it's a howitzer. He keeps like unloading these columns, just going
It's just
to
the pictures too, like the pictures they use of Jill Daniels. That was definitely a good cover photo.
I stay away from the personal attacks and the physical appearance jokes and that, but what's going on with these columns but they're all own goals too, right? I mean, she has this, ludicrous event in Canton a few weeks ago that, she becomes a meme doing the Macarena, just making a complete fool of herself. And then you go to a bar and this happens and you say these things. And I mean, they do it to themselves just again and again. And they have such a lack of self-awareness, and it always revolves around alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol.
Everything these
Stop
people
going to bars. Stop drinking.
stop going to bars.
Jesus.
And even today, there was another video of another one, which I
Colin.
probably
We'll probably talk about that too. Let's bring him Mazza. He's in the green room. I want to get him up. Mazza Media, what's up, brother?
Anyone who thinks that 2 M's are better than 3 M's is incorrect, because now the 3 M's at last are whole once again. I was sitting around getting some totals calculated for Turtle Boy. I'm running a nice little fundraiser for Turtle Boy right now. 20 for 20, $20. I put forth $20, and I'm challenging everybody to donate $20 to Turtle Boy's defense fund as well. That's going to until midnight tonight. We're at $890 confirmed right now, and you guys can donate to that defense fund. You can go to my X page. Sorry to plug, Mike. Go to my X page. You can find the link there. Go ahead and donate to Turtle Boy, because there's rumors that this really amazing attorney that's actually at the bottom of your screen right now may actually be his attorney soon. So that's being worked on right now. And I'm telling you, I fanboyed out at the thought when Miss Shorty sent the super chat a week ago. Attorney Mark Bederow, are you going to represent Turtle Boy? I was like, yes, do it. So I'm looking forward to that, because Tim Bradle and Attorney Mark Bederow on the same team is like Iron Man and Captain America, or Batman and Superman when it comes to attorneys, and I am fired up.
Well, all I'll say is that, that was outed a week ago. So whatever, it is what it is. But there's a process. I'm not admitted in Massachusetts, and there is a process that is underway. That's all I'll say about that.
On it.
But yeah, it is a process.
And I'm gonna add, I'll be donating to the toll tally there. I'm gonna throw some money down tonight. Definitely. I meant to do it last night or this morning. I still hadn't time, but that is on my list. That's like the next thing for me to do. I'm checking things off today. And so I'll be donating tonight to Turtle Boy Defense Fund, and also Karen Reed too. And I think once you're done, I'm going to continue it on, Mazza. I'm going to ask people stuff. I like just jumping on what you're doing. I think it's a very good idea. We need to raise a lot more money.
Yeah. Oh, and to be counted towards the total, just make sure you mention like Mazza Media, or just Mazza, whatever, just something in your summary or note there when it gets posted, so I can count it. Because there's been a lot of $20 payments coming that are unmarked, and I think I'm just going to count them as like unconfirmed, unofficial, possible totals. But I noticed a lot of $20 payments were coming in, so That's the confirmed count that I have. And then some people reached out to me, but with like saying I paid it, but I forgot the message, put the Mazza thing in. But we're going to do that. I'm also planning on doing a Karen Reed one, unless you want to do it, Mike. That's fine. I got one of those coming up soon as well, and be working on that in the coming days. I promised everybody on my last show I would do that, and I'm going to do that again. So that's it. And if anybody did make a donation and didn't mark it, just email me or message me, and I'll count it.
Excellent. Let's get over 1,000.
Yeah,
get that over 1,000 tonight.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that.
And we'll hopefully our mods. I think our mods are putting that in the chat too as well.
Perfect.
We'll check that out. But I
That'd
think
be
they're
great.
adding it in. Do you want to talk about any of the stuff that's happened today or the last couple of days about the jurors, Mazza?
Sure. It's really just disgusting to listen to this Commonwealth and what the judge here decided on this trial. And it's I was recently just talking about on another show, Brian's show last night, that the way Karen looked the last time she was at that hearing, and just that look over her face, like, I don't want to be here. This thing is, you just get to a point where you're over this nonsense. And you had a jury that on counts 1 and 3 decided on not guilty. And like Attorney Mark Bederow just stated, there was a 9-3 decision on one of those. And it's, it was count 2, right? 9-3 on count 2. Did I read that right?
Okay. It was actually one of the lessers on
Okay.
So it's actually farther down the food chain. Also, just real quickly about the 9-3. Because some of the people who, get excited about this kind of stuff or troll or whatever and think that that's a great sign. Obviously, a 9-3 in favor of conviction is closer to conviction than acquittal, but you need 12 out of 12 either way, and ultimately all you need is 1, as they say. And although 9 is closer to 12 than 3, that's still 3 people that they would need to flip over, and that's in a perfect world at a retrial, with 6 months more of evidence by the defense, recalibrating the case, maybe tweaking here or there, other federal material, IAB with the state police is doing more things. It's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. And to flip 3 people is actually, that can be a lot. You don't know how steadfast they are, and you only need 1. So anybody who's celebrating that 9-3 is on the verge of a conviction, I wouldn't assume that at all. In fact, I would think the exact opposite, that's going to be tough to flip at a retrial with everything else that's going to come in favor the defense, especially when these guys recharge their batteries and, they'll do a few things differently and effectively. So it's not going to get better for the DA. What are they going to do? Get an expert? Probably not. I mean, I'm sure they'll try, but you're not going to see Trooper Paul again. You may not see Proctor again. You may not see Buchanan again. I don't know. I mean, they've got problems coming out of their ears.
Yeah, maybe delay, and then January 1st they'll be like, we decided not to do it.
It's going to be very interesting. I mean, also, if this were to happen in January, I don't think anyone's going to tolerate the IAB that's going on for 6 months. You may very well get a resolution to that. Also, without getting into any specifics about any particular case, whether it's that one or another one, but if certain members of the state police are important witnesses in a case and have serious credibility problems or have issues related to their own bias or motive to testify, well, an aggressive defense is entitled to that information. So whether they want to disclose it or not, and that could be an issue for them too.
Excellent. Looks like we're on Facebook tonight again. We lost for a brief period, we lost our Twitter access. We got it back, and then we lost Facebook. Looks like we're on all of our platforms tonight. So thank you for everyone sticking with us. We got a lot of people watching on Facebook tonight. We got a question for Mark. What pressure do you think this puts on Judge Cannoni for the next meeting, the next hearing?
None, in the sense she already had affidavits from the defense, which she knows they're not making that up. She knows that Alan Jackson and David Yannetti are professionals. They don't submit that stuff unless that's what they were told. So the fact that Lally says, okay, fine, one of them told me too, I don't think it changes anything. The fact that one of them, who may be one of the same jurors or a different one, we don't know, told, was it Christina Rex, I think was the reporter. I don't think analytically any of this has changed the judge's perception since this first became an issue. The real question is, does she care? And does she feel that relying on precedent, which says, a verdict or non-verdict, well, strike that a verdict has to be published with through the ritual of handing up a piece of paper? I think most times people understand that, but the issue here is they're saying, but your instructions confused us. So we didn't know how to hand up the paper. And I don't know how you don't listen to that. And maybe you come to the same ruling, but I think it would be a huge mistake if she were, in fact, to deny it. And I think, to be honest with you, again, the defense can't lose here, because that's just going to ratchet up the scandal even worse. It's going to create more outrage. And I'm also pleased to report I did a little checking around with some Massachusetts lawyers. There is, I believe, a remedy for both sides to appeal this if there is a denial. I know we had talked about a week ago. My understanding of reading the Massachusetts rule is that there's no interlocutory appeal that the defense can take. And I still think that's true. But I think if they wrap it up as a constitutional claim involving double jeopardy, based on what I was told by a very highly regarded Massachusetts lawyer today who does this for a living, there would be a basis for the high court to hear it, which makes perfect sense, by the way. I just didn't know the mechanism on how to do that. But if there's a potential issue involving a wrong retrial of an acquitted person, I think everyone would feel more comfortable in saying, why don't we let the high court decide that rather than the trial judge? So either way, I don't think she's going to have the last word. And if she were to deny this motion and it were to go to the Supreme Judicial Court and they were to reverse her, what a doomsday fiasco for the Norfolk DA would that be? But then again, maybe they'll shock the hell out of you and come in on next week and say, upon reflection, we're prepared to proceed without a murder case. I would actually respect them if they did that. That would be the smart thing to do, but doesn't seem to be in their nature. No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No way. How long does it take for something like that to be filed by the defense if Bev rules against them? Is it like weeks, months, days?
Well, it's not
Like,
it wouldn't be a traditional appeal, which takes forever. I mean, after a conviction, I mean, it would be expedited to some extent because it's an open case. I mean, that's kind of the point. Those tend to get expedited and there is a trial date, but that's also part of the reasoning the judge put in to kick the trial date so far down the line. It gives time to brief it for an expedited appeal and to argue it in front of the Supreme Judicial Court and to get a decision and then go from there. But the reality is, whatever the ultimate decision on this issue is, it actually has no impact on a trial or not. I mean, despite what the defense says that the whole thing should be dismissed, there's no way the second count's getting dismissed. And I mean, it may be foolish for the DA to retry Karen Reed for the manslaughter count, and some would say it's not if they had a 9-3 on one of the counts in their favor, but they're going to have a right to do it. I mean, there's no question that the evidence suggests that they were hung on that count, and they're going to have a right to retry that. So unless they punt completely, you're going to have a retrial either way. It's just a matter of what counts.
You
want to jump in on anything, Mazza?
Yeah, it just makes me sick to just see the DA's response here today. Like, we're not gonna, comment on this, and we can't discuss this type of mentality to it. It absolutely just is. It's so exactly what I would have expected from this case, that if it wasn't going to end decisively, it would end with a level of controversy or a level of uncommonness inside of a courtroom where you literally have jurors calling up the defense, calling up the Commonwealth, saying what was said in court was not what we said behind closed doors. And it's extremely frustrating. And getting back to seeing Karen at her last hearing, frustrated, doesn't want to be there. Even when I was watching it, I sat there, I'm like, I can't believe I'm watching this again. I can't believe we're basically back to square one. We literally went through all of those hearings in 2023. And some hearings, of course, throughout the course of 2024. Into the trial. We did endless shows, night after night after night for this trial. People went to court day after day after day for this trial. And then at the end of it, it's like someone reset the Nintendo and just hit the power button to reset it.
Yeah.
And Super Mario Brothers 1 starts all over again. It's like, are you kidding me?
It's like starting the Tecmo Bowl game over again. Yeah,
Yeah,
halfway through that. It's exactly a reset.
Oh my goodness.
Part of the problem and why, let's be honest, nobody can take this DA's office seriously, and why you just question their credibility on everything they say, and you just are programmed not to believe them or roll their eyes, are the way they do things and what makes them respond. Okay. The quickest way to get them to respond honestly is to out them in the press.
Yeah.
That they will respond to. Okay. If it comes to disclosing evidence to the defense over the course of a trial, nothing to talk about. If it comes to, trying a case where, the public doesn't know about, the Proctor problems and the details of all that, we're fine. But they had no problem in getting this contact from these jurors, doing nothing with it. But then something happened the other day. One of the jurors expressed their frustration, which we kind of predicted would happen, I think, a couple times, by calling the press and saying they won't talk to us. They're not even interested. Basically saying they're disrespecting us. We sat there for 2 months. We're trying to tell them this is what happened, and they ignore us. And that's what it took to get them to respond to what occurred weeks ago or a week and a half ago. And you just can't help but question their integrity in why they file these things, what they say, and they just do it again and again. And they just have a terrible public relations operation. They have a terrible, just overall credibility, operation with the defense and everything else. And they have a pattern in this case of just not disclosing evidence on time, not doing things that you would expect ought to be done. And that's why so many people look at that office and just say, I don't believe what they say. I just don't believe them.
Exactly.
And that's not even a criticism. That's just a sober
reality.
Analysis, reality. You people need to be better. And
I think even the press, like someone met this comment right here. It says, nice move by Christina Rex. She was the one that interviewed Paul O'Keefe. She's the one that you just kind of mentioned. Like once she put out her tweets, all of a sudden the DA's office is responding. And it just shows you, I'm so glad you said that too. Like their shitty PR. David Traub has organized a PR thing. This is all they care about. And they suck at it. Like I think all of the press doesn't trust this DA's office anymore. I think they've lost the trust except for that handful that David Traub recruited.
Yeah, and if your press operation, if your field operators on the ground are the the idiot in the attic, Coffin Daffer,
KP, Grant Smith, crazy, yeah, that's it.
Wendy and her scion. I mean, if those are your people spreading the message, you need to reevaluate your
Start
life.
spreading the news. Sorry, I tend to turn into Bill Murray, the lounge singer.
Weed.
Yeah.
Spread the free weed. You get Grant signed right up there, or pizza. I guess pizza also works.
I think also, people are talking about Christina Rex. They ought to give her a break. She's been doing really good journalism.
No, she definitely.
Yeah.
I'm happy with her on this. Definitely.
I mean, her interview with Paul O'Keefe was not good. Everybody knows that, but that doesn't, I mean, she made a mistake, and maybe she would tell you that. I don't know. She was just too colloquial and too apparently biased. But what, she's been doing what you want journalists to do. She's been getting the information and reporting it. And it's been good information. It's been very newsworthy, and it forced them to react in a way that they almost certainly didn't want to react. I mean, they admitted that a juror told them we had acquittals on 2 charges just a couple weeks after they basically mocked the defense for this, ridiculous fakakta argument that's all based on nonsense. It's totally based on what they were told, and the DA has admitted that now. So who looks like the fool?
Exactly. I just want to make a note on our YouTube chat. We did pin the Turtle Boy fundraiser. So his defense fund is pinned at the top of the chat. If you want to make a donation, it will help pay for, hopefully, if he gets approved in Massachusetts here, for Attorney Bederow to join this Turtle Boy Defense Fund. So defense team. So you can contribute if you want to. If you want to say Mazza helped raise the money, you can put that in the donation when you make the donation on Turtle Boy's website. Do you want to talk more about that? The jurors, the judge. What do you have anything to add on that, Mazza?
I'm not sure if I'm lagging here. My camera's lagging at all. I can't tell, but yeah, it's just it's unfounded to hear this amount of jurors basically reach out like this to the defense. Now the Commonwealth, you even have a statement released now, basically by the defense saying, the Commonwealth reveals that they actually did hear about it. And it's just more to the same. Like they wrote here on the record, the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office in its new filing finally admits that they have received the same information that the defense has received from sitting jurors, that Karen Reed was acquitted on 2 charges, including murder. That was very clearly stated. And this goes back in the Commonwealth's statement here, this Commonwealth of Massachusetts notice, this 2-pager here. On Sunday, July 21st, Assistant District Attorney Adam Lally received an unsolicited voicemail on his office's phone line from an individual who identified themselves as a juror by full name and seat number. So there you go. They heard about this recently. And it's just, again, I'm tired of the games that they're playing right now. I'm tired of their efforts to try to basically stop Karen Reed from basically getting out of this thing. They're tying her up in court. They're wasting taxpayers' money. And that's not even the worst part. They're wasting Karen Reed's money. They're wasting Karen Reed's time and her freedom. And this whole thing is a total disaster right now. And this is why in this state, you're going to see a bunch of people like ourselves that are standing out there in numerous locations on Sunday doing standouts, including at the State House. And on Labor Day, we're doing it again. And we're probably going to do it again in between there. From a movement level or a supporter level, we're upping our game to the next level here. And that all started recently when several supporters were standing outside of the State House in Boston making their case known. And that needs to be done now. It's time to just go out there to the next level and start doing this now. Everyone needs to know what's going on in this state, that there is absolute injustice going on, that Karen Reed, who was acquitted of 2 of her 3 charges, is still basically having to fight for those charges to be dropped. And it's absolutely sickening. It's disgraceful and it's disgusting.
There's somebody else's money they're wasting in this process. Yours, taxpayers. The amount of money that goes into a prosecution like this, investigation and prosecution, which is going on, it's going to be 3 years in January, millions of dollars. I mean, just think of the salaries involved of all the investigators, all the prosecutors, all the other people, all the court staff. Think of all the police officers who are, going down the rabbit holes on this case instead of looking at other things. Millions and millions of dollars. And that doesn't even touch potentially the millions of dollars that could be coming out of your pockets if there's provable, misconduct and civil rights violations that, down the line when this is over. But it's just insane. Also, the amount of money that has to be spent on the federal investigation, shouldn't say prosecution, not yet anyway. So Karen Reed is essentially being bankrupted or close to it. But the taxpayers are getting bilked. The O'Keefe family, unfortunately, is kind of being what I believe is misled about what's going on. And I'm certainly others do. I still, I understand their position, but I just seen this movie before. I understand their reaction, but they're getting, led by the hand in a direction that people want them to be led. And this is just not going to end well for the DA's office, the state police, and those who want to see, Karen Reed be the sacrificial lamb served at the altar of so-called justice for John O'Keefe, which that will not be justice if that's the case.
They've spent 71,000 just on Ken Mello, the special prosecutor for Turtle Boy.
I'm not touching that.
Yeah. Unbelievable. 71,000. I know you can't comment on it, but we
No,
can. I mean, that's just outrageous. 71,000
It's
for that
okay.
guy.
I'm still getting
It's
up to
okay.
speed. I'm not. Yeah. So next.
I mean, it speaks for itself. It's a lot of money. One of the things too at the protests you mentioned, Mazza, at the State House, it was nice to see an old friend of the show who he actually co-hosted this show in the past when I was out. He was like my guest co-host. Mass State Rep Mike Conley came out in support. Free Karen Reed. He was at that protest. He took a picture. He made a post about it. It was reported by Boston.com. I wouldn't be surprised if you see more of that. I've also seen State Senator Jamie Eldridge commenting on it. He actually, mentioned that he watches this show for info. So, like, I feel like there's more state reps, state senators watching than people realize, and they're just silently watching, like Rep Mike Conley's been watching, and he just decided when he saw the protesters that day, he decided to show that he supported Karen Reed as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if you don't see more electeds, which, it seems like maybe they don't want to get involved because they're going to piss off a side. But I think a lot of them are kind of seeing what's going on, and you never know. There might be more. So I hope more people show up at the State House because of that. I think that you may have some good conversations up there.
Yeah, that's what we need. We need more representatives in the state to step up. It doesn't matter what party they are, Democrat, Republican, whether you love them, hate them, or indifferent, whether you vote for politicians or not. We need some of these people that are state representatives and other people in this state that are politicians, like the governor, for example, to step up and step in on this particular thing. This is out of hand. These charges, Attorney Mark Bederow several months ago said on this show, this thing should have never even gone to trial. Not only did it go to trial,
they're pushing indicted. Even worse than that. Never should have been indicted.
Never should have been indicted. And not only that, but now it's going to a second trial. And here we are, round and round and round. How long are they going to keep this going for? I mean, are we all going to be 10 years older than we were a year ago by the time this thing all wraps up? Because how long do they want to keep this charade going? It's a waste of time. It was a joke that this thing ever went to trial in the first place, and now they're trying for round two.
They're trying for round two, and they'll go as long as they can. I mean, somebody published a thing earlier. The DA has a fundraiser scheduled. He's never run opposed, and he's still doing fundraisers. What does that mean? He plans to keep his job and do this again. And I suppose if you're concerned about a federal investigation and whatnot, that the safest place in his mind to be is in the big seat, at least to have access to information and see what's going on. But as long as the current version of that office is in power, they're not going to stop unless a jury forces them to, or a judge.
He's got 2 more years left, which is just brutal. Morrissey in office.
But he's raising money for the next one. So he looks at it as 2 years. I think he looks at it as I'm DA for life. And,
I don't think he will. I still, my opinion on this, I don't think he's going to run again. I think a lot like Marty Walsh continue to collect money even after he knew he was out of office. It seemed like a lot of times these guys run these slush funds.
Well,
their lobby, because basically what he can do is he can write a check to any candidate he wants from that fund.
What he can't do is use it for legal fees in case he needs.
He can't use it for legal fees, but he can use it for political influence and power. And that's what they used. A lot of these guys like him, they're going to use this as a slush fund to, even if he doesn't run, he's still going to use it for influence.
Yeah. I saw also, somebody posted this online the other day that a lot of the state troopers who work, again, in that unit regularly donate to his campaigns. And that's awful. I mean, if they were lawyers, you would be arguing that there are ethical violations and conflicts, and are they being recruited? Do they feel they have to give money? I mean, the example I always use with you guys about corruption in New York is the old Brooklyn DA's office. And this is one of the things that Charles Hines famously did. He would use ADAs to campaign for him and donate money and all kinds of stuff that you would just say is just ethically gross. And when you see guys like Tully, Buchanan, and others are stuffing money in Morrissey's, campaign pockets, and then they work for him, and then you start wondering, well, is that why they're protected? I mean, look, we're not talking a lot of money, but appearance is everything when you're a district attorney and a public servant. And you start to say, is that why you had a lot of that press conference that was so ridiculous? They support each other. Are there personal relationships that cloud judgment because of this or that? It's just everything that goes on in Norfolk County is the exact opposite of what you would want to see from a transparent DA's office and police agency that works under them.
Yeah, it's even Adam Lally. You said that ADA has given contributions. Apparently, Adam Lally has given contributions too.
That's worse. That's worse than the cops. And again, they do things in that county that you don't see in many other places. But is that volunteering? Is that sucking up? Is that required? Is that why you're getting this case? Is that why you're not getting this one? I don't know. But I mean, when your subordinates are stuffing money in your pockets to run to be DA for life or influencer in chief, that's not a very impressive prosecutor's office.
The question that came in from Mark, they want to know what is your, you may not be able to answer this one, another one. What is your guesstimate as how DA would have responded to this news had Turtle Boy posted this instead of Christina Rex?
Officially, they would probably do nothing. They would stew and just complain and mutter. And, I mean, look, I'm not saying anything I shouldn't say. I'm stating facts in the public record. They charged him with 18 crimes because of the way he was covering this case. I mean, that's not an opinion. That's just fact. That's what they did. They brought in a special prosecutor to do that, which is a concession or acknowledgement that the apparent bias that we have and hatred for this guy is obvious. So we needed to do that. Notice the state police did not, but let's leave that there for today, pick that up another time. But the reality is, they had to bring in other people to handle the prosecution because they were aware of how that would appear. So, you can draw your own conclusions, but I don't know anyone else who's ever been indicted for aggressively reporting and news gathering and doing things like that.
Never. The only time I've seen the press even get charged, it's when they wouldn't reveal the sources back in the day. Bob Lobel's wife, remember her?
Yeah.
What was her name? The blonde?
Suzanne
Warnick.
Yes.
Yeah, because she wouldn't give up her source. I mean, that's it. I can't remember any other reporter.
Even that, the fights over reporters' privilege and that sort of thing, that's all wrapped up in the Constitution as well, First Amendment and this and that. But this is straightforward criminal prosecution, indictment for tampering with witnesses and things like that, which I'm pretty sure you've never seen.
I've never seen that. Not once.
Most people who like a free press and the Constitution and whatever would probably be troubled by that.
Yeah, I think everyone should be troubled, whether you support Turtle Boy or not. I mean, especially if you're in the press, if you give your opinion. That's what kills me is some of these people who have some of the strongest opinions out there, but they're bad at Turtle Boy, so they don't support him on this. It's just you're hurting yourself, actually. There's a question. Has anyone watched Homicide Los Angeles on Netflix? First 2 episodes of season 2 is Alan Jackson talking about cases when he was a young DA in LA.
I did watch. Well, I watched a little of it. I wanted to watch this because I watched last year. I don't know if you saw the show on Netflix, New York Homicide. If anybody watched that, about the New York homicide detectives, and I love that show because there were a million detectives that I know that were on that, including private investigators I use to this day, talking about incredible New York cases and whatnot. So I wanted to see the LA one. And I watched one episode, and the first episode was actually Alan Jackson and Phil Spector.
Oh, wow.
Everybody knows about Phil Spector and what a
Whack
lunatic,
job.
a complete whack job.
Gary.
Yeah. So no, I didn't see the other ones about the other cases, but I did see the Phil Spector stuff, which everybody knows the Phil Spector story and all of that, which ironically was a retrial too, right? So it happens. But Phil Spector died in prison, so rightfully
Sad.
so.
Yeah, definitely. He did a lot of crazy stuff.
I just did a podcast today actually with someone who worked was Alan Jackson's partner for a number of years until recently. He worked in the LA DA's office as well, and he does like a true crime podcast thing. That was interesting.
What's the name of that one?
God, I forget what's the name. Now he's going to kill me. His name's Josh Ritter. I like him. Good guy.
What's his name?
His name is Josh Ritter. Really good lawyer, really good host, really intelligent, very sophisticated. We had a nice conversation. That's going to air, I think, sometime next week. But yeah, he used to work in the same firm as him until about a year ago, I think, roughly. But I think they worked together in the LA DA's office too.
That sounds exciting. We'll have to look for that one. Let us know. I want to hear that one.
We talked about the Ricci case in Massachusetts, the woman in Brockton, I guess, who stabbed her firefighter, the husband, to death, who just got convicted. We talked about a case in Wisconsin, the guy who was tubing and kind of went a little psycho and
got
stabbed the kids. And then we talked about the case in Uvalde, that horrible school shooting where they indicted 2 of the cops basically for being useless, which I actually thought was a bad prosecution. I'm going to get killed for that, but legally, these are terrible cops, but not criminally. That's a slippery slope. But yeah, it was good conversation. We did not talk about Karen Reed.
His comment, speaking of corruption, when I was a deputy in New Orleans, the sheriff would have us out delivering flyers for his reelection.
New Orleans is an interesting place, obviously.
Yeah.
Although sheriff isn't as bad. I know, maybe 15 or 20, 30 years ago, there was a New Orleans police officer who was convicted of murder for killing on the job or something. And a guy I used to know, actually, very high up in the FBI, was actually in charge of the city of New Orleans during Katrina, when it was a lawless society. Actually, a Boston guy, but was basically, the SAC, what they call the special agent in charge in New Orleans. And if you recall, at the time, the local government just abdicated all, and it was anarchy, and they were running the city. And the stories that some of those guys could tell about what was going on down there with law enforcement, whatever, was scary. So I feel that the New Orleans sheriff, that town is famous for corruption.
Well, cops used to always do Cops New Orleans. You remember that?
Yeah.
It was always like a Mardi Gras, New Orleans cops. Let's look at all these busts. Oh, she just exposed herself. Guy peeing in the flare.
It is one of my favorite cities to go to and eat, though. It really is.
Jambalaya.
Yeah, Jambalaya. Jazz Fest is cool.
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone who's given the super chats. We just got 10 more Young Jurks memberships, Sarah and Shock and Horror. Thank you so much. We've had a bunch of those tonight. Glenn Lake did the same thing earlier, and I think Miss Shorty did as well. Really appreciate that. Mazza, do you have anything you want to talk about that we haven't mentioned tonight, or even jumping in on what we were just talking about?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about standouts again, just encourage everybody to just participate in that. There's many towns that are involved on Sunday. I'm already jumping out. I'm so excited for it. I already think it's tomorrow, but I get that Christmas Eve excitement for it. But yeah, there's many local towns across the state. There's some towns that are in Rhode Island, I believe Connecticut as well. So I just encourage everybody to stop in. Some are at 10 to 2, 10 to 12. Others are a little bit later in the afternoon, marked with different times, but that's going to be huge. I think it's going to be a huge way to send a message at a real grassroots level, which is, holding signs, raising awareness, getting attention for this, and basically kind of continuing to pick that up. And I think that that's very important. I really think that, like we just talked about the last time we were talking, Mike, was about Michael Connolly, who came out, actually stood with supporters, took a picture with supporters. That was really a little bit of a breakthrough there. That was another way of just kind of, we didn't know that he sided with Karen Reed, and he came out and he made a post about how if he was on the jury, he would have declared her innocent as well. So that's important because it sends a message. And the more and more we grow, the more people that we can, basically share this information with and tell them about, the more it's going to basically raise our message, which is great. We're doing a great job. We're doing awesome. But I think, based on what the Commonwealth has done, what went on with the first trial, I feel like a lot of us just feel that in them to just kind of really start to take the next step here. And, basically they're trying to push this thing out. So we're not giving up. We're going to take it to the next level too, and continue to reach out to whomever we do at the state level to, say, hey, this needs to be looked into. An innocent woman who did not commit murder was framed. And you had investigations by the Canton police and the Massachusetts State Police that were insufficient. That basically you had taillight collected in red Solo cups, not placed in evidence bags, is absolutely insane. And you had evidence bags left in the Sally Port that were not properly sealed and left unattended, which was pointed out by attorney Alan Jackson in the middle of the case. It's an absolute charade. And if this state has any level of legitimacy in terms of justice, law enforcement, and the way it's governed, this needs to be tended to a year ago or 2 years ago, at that matter, let alone not now. Never mind 2024. This should have been done 2 years ago. And unfortunately, in life, Rita Lombardi, the great Rita Lombardi, says this all the time: evil prevails because good people do nothing. And this, every single one of us, whether you're on this show, watching any other show, have supported Karen Reed in any way, all of us are people that are good people that are doing something to prevent evil and such a charade like this to prevail. And just, I love you all because of it. It's amazing what we've done, and we're going to continue to do that. And they're going to try to throw Turtle Boy in jail. We're all here to stop that. They're going to try to throw Karen Reed in jail. We're all here to stop that. They were messing with the people now, the great people now known as the Canton Nine. We're here to stop it, and we're going to stop that through the means of doing what we can in this country, which is using our First Amendment right and basically using our freedoms to voice our opinions and voice our disagreements. And we're going to do it the right way. And we're going to do it with poise, and we're going to do it with, almost like a level of professionalism. This isn't going to be, some people on the other side want to make us seem like we're out of control, that we're lunatics, that we're volatile. Not the case. We're good, honest people. We all care. I met a woman last night outside of Gillette Stadium, and we talked for a bit. She knew who I was, and we talked, and I see the concern on her face. It definitely bothers her what Karen's going through and what Turtle Boy is going through. It's a serious matter. And like I said, there's a lot of other things we could all be doing right now, but all of us, whether you're on the show, tuning into the show, or in groups, we're all here because we care. And we're all here because we want something done. And we're stronger together, and we need to continue to do that. Not that we're not, but we need to continue to do that and push. And I love the folks in this movement that are getting these standouts organized, and I love the folks in these movements that are participating in these standouts. And if you cannot make it, if you can share and advertise it by posting those, advertisements that come out, that's more than enough. And thank you so much for that. But we're not backing down. We're here to defend Karen, Turtle Boy, the Canton Nine, and anybody else, including each other, as long as we must, because we're not backing down, and we ain't got no quit.
And one of the great things about the Mike Connolly thing that we've mentioned a couple times tonight is that he's a liberal. He's like, and not only like a liberal, he's like a Bernie Sanders liberal. He's probably the most liberal state rep in the state for things like housing. He's a leader. And when you see someone like him come out, I think it gives people who have been silently watching, maybe more in the middle or the liberal side, kind of like the heads up, like this is okay. You may not agree with Turtle Boy on other issues, but you can agree with him on this. And I think that's one of the best things about it. And Mike Conley's someone who's gotten like attacked by Turtle Boy. Like obviously they're not politically the same. So I think it was a good move for Michael Conley. And I think it was a good move by Turtle Boy to welcome Mike Conley. And I'm glad to see it. I think everybody, left, right, center, should look at this and support Karen Reed and support Aiden too on this. Couple other things. Tuesday, we're making fun of my accent. You know, I'm from Boston. I'm gonna say New Orleans, or well, I guess they want us to say New Orleans. How do they say it down south? I don't know.
Nolans.
Yeah, Nolans. We say New Orleans. I know. Hey, you come up here and you say Haverhill, and well, Worcester. They would stumble over our words big time. So
I was calling Dedham Dedham until someone finally corrected me. Like, Mazza, it's not Dedham. It's not like a registry of deeds. It's Dedham. I'm like,
how
okay,
about
finally,
it's Danvers. No, it's Danvers.
Danvers, yeah.
Danvers.
What do they call it in the Boston Herald? Canton.
Yeah, Canton. Or Canton. No T. Canton.
And Gloucester.
I can't even do that one. Yeah, Gloucester. Haverhill's a good one. Or Worcester. Everyone, Worcester? No.
Worcester. Worcestershire sauce.
Yeah.
But the other thing too, I want to mention, you brought it up, Mazza. Sunday, right? Sunday, there's going to be standouts all across the state. I'm glad to see it's like really all across the state. Like there's going to be North Shore. There's going to be some places I might even hit. Like there's Burlington and Stoneham. There's different places. So there's
the Kowloon parking lot. It's big.
No, nothing Saugus, but hey, it's, Stoneham's not too far.
Saugus wings and
you can hit
stand up,
and then you hit the wings on the way home.
Yeah.
Or maybe bring the wings. Maybe
bring the wings.
Does Kowloon do breakfast? We'll bring breakfast there.
No, they don't do breakfast. I don't think you want that anyway.
Yeah, I would. That's the best thing why I get Chinese like delivery at night, like a huge delivery that I know I'm not going to finish because I like to eat it in the morning. Chinese for breakfast. You know?
Chinese for breakfast?
Yeah, you won't do a Rangoon in the morning, cold Rangoon
I'm a big fan of cold pizza, but Chinese for breakfast, I have limits now.
I love it. What about you, Mazza? If it's a wing, he'll eat it. If it's a hot wing.
Oh, chicken wings. I ate a ton of chicken wings all the time, except I was at Bar Louie last night and I actually ordered a chicken quesadillas. I was going for chicken wings and I said, you know what? I order and buy chicken wings and eat chicken wings all the time. I go switch it up, get the quesadillas, and it was amazing. So
it was good, huh?
Yeah, it was a great time. Kowloon's is the best too. That's my favorite place to go. The poo platters, the fried scallops, unbelievable. Saugus wings.
Saugus wings.
Oh, they're messy.
So it's out. Someone's with me. They like the cold Rangoon for breakfast. That Crash Daddy's Cannon. I like the cold pizza too. My girlfriend's she doesn't get that. She gets so mad at me. She's like, put it in the microwave, put it in the oven. I'm like, no, I like the cold pizza.
Once it's not fresh, it's cold.
Yeah, that's the worst. You can't reheat it.
Yep.
You got to eat it hot or just eat it cold.
If it isn't fresh, it isn't legal.
Yep.
People are with me. Yeah, Kowloon's for breakfast here. Hey, you got to eat some cold lo mein. I'm down.
Lo mein's the best. Shrimp lo mein, that's my go-to. Shrimp lo mein is amazing.
Now people are shouting out some good places. I got to check the Ugly Mug out. That's a good place. Thank you for letting me know. It's a good place. I'll check that out. What there are other things to talk about tonight too. I'm thinking about man, there's been so much crazy shit going on.
Well, someone made the front page of the Boston Herald.
Yeah, you want to talk about that? We did
Jill
briefly talk about that. Why don't we talk about that, Mazza?
Howie Carr had a nice little article there about her and just everything she's done. She just acts out quite a bit. That first time I ever heard of her was that time she called in the Turtle Boy. I happened to be watching that live, and that was really
wild.
Really new into the time I was just following the case. I think about a month or less, and I was watching this live, and she called in, and all but admitted that someone was in the house that apparently they're claiming wasn't in the house, but someone got there before someone saw, that was said. But the way she kind of went at Turtle Boy was nuts. I mean, smacking his phone out of his hand, all but asking him what the 5 fingers said to the face. It was insane. And it's just what you're seeing here is absolutely, anybody on the other side tries to say we're unhinged and crazy and violent is kidding themselves. We've been nothing but peaceful. And you have individuals that go after Turtle Boy, and the joke has been for a long time that she has a crush on Turtle Boy. And as soon as she saw Turtle Boy's very wonderful girlfriend, what did she do? She's like, "Oh, I want a piece of you." And the joke was that she had a crush on Turtle Boy, right? But it's crazy the way they went at him. All the other people that were outside that pizza place that day were out of their mind, and they're all out of control. And they're constantly confronting, they're acting out of control. You had a member of the select board by the name of Chicken Parm Charlie. I guess they have rubber duckies out there now, apparently. But this guy had to make a public apology over this. It's insane what they're doing, and they keep doing this. They're unhinged.
He's got a new nickname now too. He picked up a new nickname, Jailbird Chris.
Oh, Jailbird Chris.
That's what Howie calls him.
I have a question. What is the rubber ducky thing? I will confess, I have no clue what the rubber ducky thing, other than the joke.
Well,
they were
going around,
Inspector Clouseau's around town looking for rubber duckies. But what is that all about?
I don't know every detail of this. I know some of it. What do you know, Mazza? Do you want to touch on?
I just know that it got going. Actually, a very wonderful fellow supporter handed me a rubber ducky as a gift. There's her and her son gave me a rubber ducky sometime in June. And I don't know so much about, all I know that it's like a trend now, and it's kind of like the Plevin thing. I didn't know what it was at first, but it just kind of became a running joke. And from there, it just basically, I think what happened was that people started to place them outside and they got upset about it. And then it just kind of escalated from there. That's pretty much my understanding.
And my understanding too is that they were upset because somebody was writing on the bottom of them things like, Colin was in the house. I don't know what they wrote. They wrote stuff like that. Stuff they didn't like. So stuff about the case, they're writing on the bottom of them, leaving them outside of D&E. And the state police investigated it. And seriously, took this as a serious case. They sent Bukaki out to chase down the culprit. I don't know what happened, but there's been all kinds of talk, of this going on. And so I think it's just become a thing now. And John Como, who's a Canton resident, he's been on the show. He was in the chicken suit outside of the Canton Select Board chair of the last hearing. He showed up.
John's the man.
With a huge rubber ducky costume. He was giving out rubber duckies to kids, and then the cops came after he left and called him. And so it's just this thing now. Everyone's like, we're just going to hand out rubber duckies because they're on rubber ducky patrol.
I was watching the Olympics last night. Kate Douglas won her challenge or whatever it calls her meet or whatever. And she had a giant rubber ducky on screen. I mean, if I was one of the McAlberts and I saw that, I would have been furious. I would have felt personally attacked. And
they probably should have pressed charges against NBC.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
It's funny because I was out to eat the other night and I walking out and there's this, one of those huge, amusement claw things, and it's got rubber duckies all over it.
They're telling us it's a quote that Jackson uses. I mean, that's interesting because I use that all the time too.
The machine I took the picture of, it says who owns it was Jackson something. It was so weird. I took a picture of that. I posted it on our Twitter, and I didn't even notice the Jackson thing.
Yeah, no, it's a good adage. I mean, sometimes the answer is the obvious one when the evidence suggests something. But, so it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck. It's a duck.
It's a duck.
I think you nailed it. I think that's exactly why that first person started putting the ducks out. Is because
they're saying that I don't remember this. Alan used that.
That is it. That is definitely it.
That's it. That makes sense. Yeah,
that is totally it.
I mean, that a lot of lawyers. I mean, that's something that just to direct attention to stop looking down rabbit holes and it's staring, right in front of you. That it's a good phrase.
Definitely. I heard Monica Cannon Grant use that one time on like these neo-Nazi front groups. I thought it was good when she did it. I'll give her that compliment tonight. See, sometimes I say nice things.
It's a duck.
It walks like a duck. It quacks like a duck. It's a duck.
It's a duck.
That was a good line to use. And that's Alan Jackson basically used the same line. Yeah, people decorate those Jeeps, their Jeeps with those ducks. Yeah, a lot of people have the ducks now. The ducks has become a big thing. There's a select board meeting coming up, I think, on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And they're locking out the public. They're doing the Zoom meeting thing again.
Virtually hiding from their entire town.
That's crazy.
And I think, but between you and I don't know how public this is, but I think there's some police stuff going on there. Like, sending threats to people. You're going to get in trouble if you show up and protest outside people's houses again.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, if you get told, if you're a citizen, right, and you get told that you can't protest outside someone's house, what are you going to do? I
don't know, but it seems like Canton is the place where the First Amendment went to die for a lot of reasons. My God, it's that's prior restraint on free speech. I mean, that's shame.
I drove by 34 Fairview before I went to the last meeting, which was the second to last meeting they did in person. So I drove by 34 Fairview with the house on my right, and then there's a street, a couple of houses down on the left, where you can kind of loop around in it to come back the other way again. Sure enough, as soon as I loop around and I'm now facing this other road to get back onto Fairview Road, bang a right, and now have the house on my left, this guy is in his vehicle and he drives by. He looks right at me. You were just driving down the street to look at the house, weren't you? That was the whole vibe I got from this guy. I'm like, oh, man, tensions are high here. Oh, my goodness. I'm like, I can drive down any street I want in this country as long as it's a public road. So there's that. I mean, I do have rights to drive down the road,
Yeah. I guess not anymore in Canton.
Yeah, I guess not. Yeah.
You got to show your papers to get permission. You got to get permission.
Jeez.
So what would your advice be to Jill Daniels right now, who keeps getting in headlines, getting her picture in the paper? What would you tell Jill Daniels if she's listening?
Me?
Yeah.
Or me.
We could go with Attorney Bederow. He's the attorney. He hasn't spoken in a while. Let's go with him first.
Grow up.
Grow up.
That's it. Grow up. You're a grown woman. Just, what are you doing? Don't go up to people and, grab their phones and yell at them. Don't go out to bars, and if people jaw at you, start fights and call them C words and other things, and just grow up. I mean, all of this that could apply to a lot of people. But I mean, if you didn't act like this, you wouldn't be on the front page of the Boston Herald. I mean, the funny thing is, until that thing that happened in Canton a few weeks ago that, everyone saw the videos of, I didn't know who she was. And I'm like, wait a minute, I thought that was Julie Albert, or like Chris Albert's wife, and this, and who's she? And I guess it's her sister, because they kind of look alike. I didn't even know who she was. Literally had no clue. I mean, she could have stayed in the background, but it's not just her. I mean, stop acting like that. You're an adult. Grow up. That's my advice.
Mazza?
Well, I mean, if she wants to keep ending up on the front page of the news, that's her thing. She's had 2 incidents in the past, basically the month now, that have been documented, and just I don't know what to say about her. I don't know. A lot of people on the McAlbert side have kept it cool, tried to stay out of public eye as much as possible. She's been the one that's basically been getting in confrontations, going at it with everybody, and she kind of did like the Wicked Witch of the East pose, like that. She did that. She's like, all offended. Oh, it was intense. I'm like, Wicked Witch of the East vibes. I'll take you, Toto, and your little dog too, whatever that quote was there. I just got these vibes where she's gonna snatch Toto and ride off on a bicycle in her basket. Dog in a basket.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not just her. I mean, you saw the video today of Colin Albert. I mean, I'm not going to analyze it or say anything other than the video is out there and everyone's seen it. And with everything that's going on, would you publish a video of yourself chugging whatever kind of liqueur out of martini glasses? And then, I mean, very sophisticated, obviously. And then
yo.
the fuck all of you and the Canton salutes that I've learned the nicknames of what it is, and embarrass the girl who's like, slobbering, wiping the chocolate off her face with her sleeve and then saying F you and your mother. I mean, just why would you do that given you're trying to kind of fade away and not deal with this? And, you're claiming you're being harassed and all these other things. And you're testifying at a trial about what a nice, clean cut, you put a collared shirt on and look how nice I am. Why would you do all this? I mean,
That's what's so shocking to me is that they haven't, whether it's the DA's office or the McAlberts themselves, haven't hired someone experienced a PR that would tell them and sit this kid down, Colin Albert, and say, don't put any videos out, meathead. Don't be drinking. Don't be threatening people. Don't look like a friggin' idiot doing a shotgun. Like, this is stuff that, my parents wouldn't even need a PR rep. I get in trouble once, they sit me down and read me the riot act. Like, I don't understand why this kid or even that crazy lady, Jill, after what she did to Aiden, you'd think she would have just figured it out. Like, Jesus, I gotta cool off. I gotta disappear. I gotta get out of the state. That's what I'd be thinking. I'd be like, let's go to Arizona. Let's move to Arizona. Like, why haven't they done that? It's just, I can't believe it. It just makes no sense.
So you're telling me that a lot of these people have a tendency to get really out of control and make unsound, basically have a lapse in judgment when they drink alcohol, and perhaps they do things that they might later regret. It's interesting. That's very interesting because some of the things that happened on 34 Fairview that night seemed to really borderline along people that maybe made some decisions that weren't well thought out.
It seems to be the common denominator in all of these things are the booze and
alcohol and ego.
Yeah.
The alcohol,
two things together, because that's ego too, that Jill attacks people. Like, that's
role that alcohol appears to play in the daily existence of some of these people and all the incidents that they're having. It's just crazy. I mean, why is that? After everything that's happened, whether you were involved or not, clearly all that drinking that night didn't help.
Let me ask a question to all of you, including our viewers. Has Karen Reed had any incidences at all since the alleged encounter on January 2022? Like, she had any, she run over any, she hasn't done anything else, has she? That tells a big story. When you look at people after the fact, how they act, and I'm not making any accusations against names we've mentioned here about perpetrating murder, but I will say this, is that when we look at Karen, she shows no signs of having any, unhinged behavior. She's very controlled, polished, organized, mentally healthy. She is laid low. She has no history before or after that incident that would suggest that she would ever do what she's being accused of and standing trial for. But yet some of the other individuals that have been, people have alleged or specified as potentially being involved to some degree, and I'm not naming names, seem to have behaviors that are more, intense, notable, out of control, past histories that are more notable and out of control. And you just see that behavior, and it's like, well, how does anybody think Karen did it when she's not exhibited any behavior that's in any way, shape, or form outrageous or unhinged or out of control? She's very organized. And you mean to tell me that she's going to suddenly just back up and run into him? Oh, well, the voicemails. Then why would she, if she had run over him on purpose, then why leave a series of voicemails? It makes no particular sense. And this is why a lot of people out there seem to believe that other people are involved in the murder of John O'Keefe, because when they look at them and their behavior and their past and their, sometimes for some of them, the way they've acted since, why was one guy, for example, making stops throughout the night at various locations. What's up with that? It's just, this is why so many people sit here and say it's not Karen, but it is somebody else. We can't sit here and say who. You can only allege and make allegations. That's about it. But you see the way some of these people act. Yeah, they look guilty.
They look guilty.
Yeah.
Let's bring up. People are asking us to play the video. I'm going to play the Colin Albert video. I got it right here. Let's play this. There we go. 1 second here. Let's play this video.
Well, that's halfway through, I think, though.
Yeah, that is halfway through. Hold on 1 second.
Halfway through their video or their drink. I'm sorry, I'm confused. Sorry.
Let's just, I'm gonna start again. But listen to the slurping too. I'm gonna turn up the volume on it.
Oh, that was disgusting.
I mean, it's really gross. It's like, I'm gonna turn up the volume so everybody can hear it full blast. You might have to turn your headphones down. I'm gonna turn it up right now.
And let's destroy them all. Cheers.
Destroy them all.
Flip it off.
Fuck you and your fucking mom, dude.
Yep.
Fuck you.
Facts.
I mean, it's really weird too. And he had you could see what they're all about when he has to show the glass. Like, look at me, I finished my drink. I'm a big man.
You know what the sad thing is? Obviously that video is. That's just cringe.
It is. Yeah.
But here's the thing. A lot of the Alberts were very upset during the trial that this was being pinned on Colin. And I understand that. That's their, young family member. And I'm not getting into whether he did it or didn't do it, but assume he didn't. And he's being called these terrible things. He's accused of all this, but he's also made some stupid things. The bang bang videos, the pull up bitch, all that crap. This case goes away at some point. You have a chance to kind of recalibrate and maybe calm down with the booze, stop acting like a clown, stop acting like a thug. And you'd think, if nothing else, the parents would have that conversation.
That's what I'm saying. Where are the parents?
I know he's, if he's 21, he's an adult, but you're still young.
Yeah.
And
my parents would be slapping me in the head saying, you know what, dude, you're done. You're not going to get any more support from us.
Grow up is
the
operative term. And then here we are, from what I was told, this was posted by him. So he put it out there knowing people are going to see it. And we're talking, F all of you, F all of this. Look at me. I'm drunk with this girl. We're kind of slobs. We're acting like idiots. We're giving you the canted salute. And, we're doing the latest version of Bang Bang, which are, F you facts. And the parents who told us, every night we tuck them in, basically check on each other. What are you doing?
Yeah. Where are you, Chris Albert?
You said your kid had to drop out of college and had to quit football because of all this. And, and if that were true and you didn't do anything, that's terrible. And
how come Chris Albert, think about this. Chris Albert wants to manage everybody else. He wants to manage Turtle Boy where he goes. He wants to manage people putting ducks. He's got control of everything in the town of Canton, but can't control his own kid from putting out a ridiculous video.
Don't put any ducks outside my pizza place again.
Isn't that the whole problem? He's worried about everyone else, but his own friggin' family who look like idiots.
Right.
I can't fathom what the thought process would be about why you would post that. If put it this way, if your testimony at the Karen Reed trial was sincere, put on your collared shirt, you're a good little boy. Then you look at these videos, and I was joking with somebody today. There have been some really amazing video editors, which we should talk about in a minute, in the last several weeks, who have done just either hilarious or even just bombshell things, whether it be like Microdot style or this Joe Flipperhead guy who is outstanding, who does like the mashups. It's only a matter of time before one of them is going to take the testimony at the trial and juxtapose it with, the bang bang and facts and say, look at what's going on here. And I just don't know why you would do that if you're trying to disassociate from being involved in any of this. And I'm not a drunk. I'm not a punk. I'm not a tough guy. I have nothing to do with any of this. And you just make it worse and worse. It's unbelievable.
We had the Yellow Cottage addict guy review our show with Peter Murphy, and he went off. He did 2 episodes on it. I went back at him. But one of the things he recently, like on the last episode, he criticized me about was I said that I'd be afraid of Jill Daniels coming at me. He said she's harmless. Do you think Jill Daniels is harmless at this point? Do you think that, do you think I'm a wimp for being afraid of her? I'm not saying that she's physically going to kill me, but I don't think any guy wants to get attacked by a woman. What do you do? What do you do?
I don't fear for myself. I fear for the safety of my phone.
I don't think anybody wants to be confronted by someone who the only applicable word seems to be is unhinged. So
and how easily she'll swing. Like she just came out all arms, like, let's.
But he's also, look, he is what he is. He's an embarrassment. I appreciate that he thinks I'm the dumbest person he's ever met. Certainly dumber than any of the 10 drunks he's ever met in a bar. I appreciate he thinks that when I called Peter Murphy like a modern day Serpico, that he found that comical. I don't think he understood what I meant. I think most people understand that Serpico, for example, is synonymous with a cop who goes against the blue wall. In a way, I wasn't comparing him to like literally getting shot and testifying and taking down a precinct, but he, in a town like Canton, is willing to stand up and say what he wants to say. But he's also, on top of just being grotesque, he's a bully. And he picks on people. What he did to Brandy last week was disgraceful. I've met a lot of interesting people since we've all been chatting for the past several months. She's one of the nicest, sincerest people I've met.
Yep.
I think she's earnest in her opinions and the way she does it and presents it. And next thing you know, he's, going off on her life and, saying, "Oh, I'm not really talking about it, but I'm talking about it."
Yeah. Full of shit.
Yeah. And making his little zombie pictures. Honestly,
the zombie pictures got to stop, bro. Stop the zombie pictures.
He's the zombie. It's so funny too, because he went on like 25 minutes crying about trying to explain to his audience why my show has more views, because that's one of the things I hit him on, is that he's jealous of the views that we have and the subscribers. But he went on for like 20 minutes on it. Like this is the stuff that really bugs him. And he's a propagandist. He works for the DA. Like that's the end of the story.
He is the quintessential useful idiot.
And he's upset because he took a deal. He took a bad deal. He signed a deal with the devil, and it's turned out bad for him. And he sees no future. And he looks at other shows like Brandy. Brandy's killing him. That's why he goes after Brandy, because Brandy is blowing up.
She's like a non-combatant to him. Why would you?
Because she has followers and he doesn't. That's what it is.
The reality is you've outed him for what he is. He's kind of a creepy weirdo up there in the attic. Which I'm convinced is really the basement, but whatever. I'm in the
I'm actually in the basement. So
look, there's a little bit of that Hannibal Lecter vibe there. Whatever. But all kidding aside, you
wait. Is it the slurping, the stuff you? Hey, did you notice that Brian, the Alberts, Colin Albert and Kevin both have slurping issues?
He's just, in my view, look, I've taken shots because he comes out of nowhere with like these broadside attacks. But at some point he should just be shunned for the ignoramus that he is and just ignored. I'm not trying to break you up, Mazza. I'm just telling it like it is.
No, it's true. I almost did another show on him last night. I was like, I was so close because he actually had some truth. He tried to talk about the state police and me for like a minute, and then he changed the subject. But he tried to be truthful, even though he was lying. And I almost wanted to do a show last night and address that, but I was like, I've given this clown enough of my time. It's like even tonight. I mean, it's just. What do you got, Mazza?
I'm good. This roasting by attorney Mark Bederow of the Yellow Cottage Man was
Not
that
bad.
made my night.
We should clip that. We got to clip that.
He's like, he's a creepy weirdo. Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, man.
you know, when it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, sometimes it's a duck.
Duck. Yeah.
Hannibal Lecter. He is like a Hannibal Lecter.
Well, hold on. In all fairness, I said a Hannibal Lecter like vibe.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, it's or maybe it's actually more like a Buffalo Bill vibe than Hannibal Lecter. It's the basement attic kind of, in Silence of the Lambs and that just disgusting house that Buffalo Bill lived in. Look, I'm not suggesting he's literally, a psychopath murderer. That's a joke. But I'm saying, but his attitude
got some strange vibes.
No, he does, and a lot of the people who are obsessed with Karen's guilt, their personalities are just so off the chain odd. They look for confrontation. They look to belittle other people. They're obsessed with trying to harass people. They're obsessed with threatening lawsuits and things, which is just batshit crazy, by the way. You're getting a lawsuit. You're getting a lawsuit.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Kimberly.
Somebody.
If I had a dime for every time she said I was getting sued.
You're getting a lawsuit, and you're getting a lawsuit.
Oh God, that's actually criminal too. What she's doing, I heard that's actually criminal harassment to threaten lawsuits in public over and over and over again.
And moreover, somebody, she should get some legal advice on another issue, which somebody should explain to her the concept of standing when you purport to want to be a plaintiff. You have to have standing to sue. And just because you watch Twitter all day, keeping score of who says what, and you don't agree with someone, you can't sue them because you don't like what Mazza said about Yellow Cottage guy. You don't get to sue him. It doesn't work that way. And she's making her chart.
She had a list. A list.
The list.
It reminds me of Steve Buscemi and Billy Madison when he had a list of people that upset him in high school. Then he finally crosses Billy off the list. She literally made a list. And by the way, I was extremely offended by that list because I wasn't on it. I mean,
I loved it. I was
on that list.
Two. It was Turtle Boy Mike Crawford. I was even ahead of Bederow.
The only person I ever broadsided ever, like without anyone coming at me first, was Wendy Murphy, and she deserved all of it because that was lawyer to lawyer. You are saying stupid things, misleading things, and trying to exploit your law degree to miseducate the public, and you need to be outed as an embarrassment. That's the only one. But there are so many people who just come throwing and this and that, and it's crazy. I mean, you hear about lawsuits, you hear about pictures of trolls, you hear about all of this. And why are they so obsessed and nasty with hating on everyone instead of just trying to have a logical discussion?
Yeah. I mean, there was a woman from Married with Children that was going around attacking people on Twitter. I couldn't believe it. She always seemed like a nice lady on that show when it was on Fox, but now apparently she's all over Twitter. It's crazy.
Is she on the Karen Reed shit?
Yeah, Karen Reed, I believe. Yeah, not the actual lady. It's a joke. It's a
joke. It's that
it's an inside joke.
Crime lady. You could have kept that going a little longer.
Is it the true crime lady? Who it looks like? Yeah, it is, right?
Oh, I know. You're saying the one that looks like the mother from Married with Children?
Yes.
I know you.
Love and marriage. Love and marriage.
I know what you mean.
Oh man. Yeah.
But that's
poor Al Bundy. I feel bad for Al Bundy.
But a lot of these people also they equate, and this is the problem, and this is kind of scary for the criminal justice system. They have great sympathy for John O'Keefe, which anyone would, obviously. Innocent victim should not be dead, all of that. But they equate that if someone was arrested for the crime, then God damn it, they have to be guilty. End of story. And if any of you dare to suggest that the accused is actually not guilty, then you're disrespecting his family. You're a disgrace. You're grifting. I just had to say, we haven't said grifting yet. So I just, grift.
Wait, is Ken Mello grifting $70-something thousand? Is that a grift?
Right.
I think that's grifting.
I'm not touching that one. Not now. But,
yeah, you can't. You
No,
can't.
I have to. Yeah, I have to.
Yeah, you have to be good right now.
A little bit, but these people, they'll attack you for having the temerity to say, I don't think this woman is guilty. In fact, I think she's actually innocent. And I'm happy to explain to you why, based on, well, how does the yellow idiot say logic plus
Truth. Logic.
logic plus evidence equals truth?
Yeah.
Well, that could be true, but you don't have a patent on truth because you say so, dummy. But these people wanted to, listen to reason and respect an opinion based on evidence, common sense, and experience, then you could agree to disagree. But it's all you're a troll, you're a grifter, you're disrespecting them, and you're going to get a lawsuit. and you're dumber than any 10 drunks in the bar. So,
oh my goodness.
I mean, these people, and I haven't even, well, now I'm reminding myself, I saw something else today because we were talking about really good video mashups. And this one pissed me off, but this Joe Flipperhead guy who's great, he did one today of Coffin Daffer, which if you haven't seen it online, you ought to see it because she always likes to talk about that interview that aired on television whenever it did. And they were when they were interviewing Karen's parents. Okay. And I know you both know, and many of the other people know this, they're the nicest people in the world. And it doesn't even matter what you think of their daughter. They're like the nicest people in the world. But they were being interviewed, and she cuts a clip from that interview in which Bill Reed is saying, she told me, Dad, I think I hit something and whatever. And that's all she plays. Okay. And then she goes on her Twitter rant saying that, Karen admitted to her father that she hit John O'Keefe and this and that. And what Joe did in his little mashup, he played the actual full video of that scene. And if you watched it, anyone with a shred of intellectual integrity and honesty would have let it play out. You can clearly see that he's describing the incident with John O'Keefe's car. And there's no question in the context. And even the news reporters showed the picture of it. They're talking about it, and they just cut it out completely. And she goes on this constant ranting about this. And, she finally blocked me, by the way, from calling her out too many times, but that's okay. But she's just an example of, these people, they're not being intellectually honest. I mean, if you want to take a position, have credibility. And then all that does is make you take someone like her and challenge her motive. And then all that does is lead you back to that email exchange, which was, if I'm correct, literally was Morrissey, Tully, Buchanan. I mean, these are like the high level people handling this who have nothing better to do than talk about the wonderful Twitter reach of
Coffin Daffy,
a woman who later is like creeping around 34 Fairview and running away when she's spotted. And again, these are the people who are being utilized by them and screaming and yelling about how open and shut this is. And if you disagree, you're something wrong with you. And
she responded to Joe Flipperhead on Twitter, by the way. I'm seeing this post by her right now. She had fired back at him. And
I didn't know that. What'd she say?
Yeah, she said, John's dead in all caps. The words Karen Reed told Kerry Roberts over the phone at 5 a.m. Yes, 5 a.m. Reed knew she hit him, and later that morning when she drove by, understood he was dead. That's why she called Kerry. She needed someone as a witness when she, quote unquote, found John. Please all look at the facts.
Okay.
Hashtag John O'Keefe.
Okay, this is the problem with this woman, okay, who is an embarrassment to the FBI. Okay, that is classic deflection and projection. Okay, in
Yeah.
other words, I'm not responding to the exact point that he made, which is you cut this video out to mislead the people, and you're responding, but yeah, there's testimony that she told someone else this. I mean, that response is actually making it worse because you're literally ignoring everything to the point he was making. Yeah, but I told you she's guilty. And that's non-responsive. That's what lawyers, would move to strike as non-responsive. So why not answer the question? Because that's what she would be told to do in court. Answer the question or say nothing.
That's what they do too. That's what Kevin does. They all do that. They change the subject and bring up
They
something else.
deflect and project. But I mean, the problem with her in particular, though, and they all do it in their own way. I mean, she's actually politer. I think her views are warped and misleading, but she's not nasty. Like, she doesn't
Kevin.
personally attack. Right. I mean, so credit to her for that. But, in terms of like her analysis, if that's, in quotes, if that's even what she's doing, all she's doing is regurgitating what other people have said or what somebody might have said in court or what is on TV and stating that that's the case. I mean, there's literally nothing being offered that's unique or like she's not adding any value to what she's doing. She's not analyzing. She's just, enhancing what somebody says and saying, see, I don't understand what the attraction to her reach is because she doesn't say anything unique.
No, she doesn't. I just think the attraction for people is that she covers all these different law tube, she covers all the cases and trials that people want to talk about. I think that's about it. I think
she has a niche. I want to be the victim right advocate, and I'm going to advocate for the victim. And let's remember the victims, which again is not saying anything new. Nobody with a heart and a brain would ever say, I have any disregard for an innocent victim of a crime. So when you scream and yell, justice for John O'Keefe, obviously, yes, we all agree.
what we want.
Of course, there may be a difference of opinion in what that entails. But again, she's not nasty about it. She's just wrong and, I think warped and misleads her following. But she's less harmful than some of these other people because she also tried to justify some of these things like with Proctor and this and that, which again, it can be very damaging, I think, to your credibility. If you're gonna, you got to call a spade. And anybody who tries to defend someone like Michael Proctor and, it was his private phone. Oh, that makes it okay.
Yeah.
Good thing he used his private phone to talk about, a woman's, a defendant's medical condition that has nothing to do with you and shouldn't, and, you wishing that she would kill herself and how you believe her physical appearance is and what you think, it's fine because it was on your personal phone. I mean, honestly, we're justifying that because it was your personal phone.
Yeah. You put it in writing too, in text. I mean, if you were going to gossip, to do it on maybe a phone call where it can't be recorded like that. I mean, just to text it is just probably the dumbest thing you could ever do.
It's a level of recklessness. And, it's one thing, you send it to Yuri and your buddies, you probably believe they're going to keep it under wraps. But you start sending it to the high school guys and you start sending it, to other people, then the risk of it getting out is more and more. And, the $1 million question with him is, does anybody really believe it was just this case?
No.
I don't know the answer to that, but it's kind of hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely is.
His excuse was, I was just so upset.
He was professional until then.
Right. I was traumatized by a hit and run. I investigate murders and homicides, and I was traumatized by the hit and run, not the psychopath who chopped up his wife and Googled where to dump her body and how do I do this and that. That probably was not traumatizing to him. Hard to believe.
It sure is. I'm going to go to this question here because we got a few questions about John Fanning. This is one Does this Mass State Police know the name of the jurors John Fanning allegedly ran the Corey checks on the jurors? I don't know if we know the answer to that. Well, we can ask that. There was also another question coming in about this Kevin Clapp, the interviews about John Fanning. Have either of you guys seen those?
No.
No.
I watched some of it. I mean, I don't know.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just mention it's this guy who sued John Fanning way back for like crazy allegations, like some of the worst stuff you can ever think of, but it was dismissed. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't just because he's a state police, and I know he's allegedly watching the jurors in this case. You know, some kind of allegation from years ago that never went anywhere. You know, even he's entitled to, a presumption of innocence. I don't want to speculate about stuff I know nothing about.
Yeah, exactly. Do you think that the state police has the names of the jurors? What do you think about that?
I don't know how the process works in Massachusetts, but the court does, the court security does, anyone involved in there does. Now, if the state police are involved as part of that process, then I imagine they would, but I literally don't know the answer to that. Again, in New York, it's court officers who literally handle that kind of stuff. But in this case, I don't know.
Any comment, Mazza, on any of that?
If they do know about it, maybe it's through secondhand and under the essentially under the table, or someone knew someone. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I'm saying if they did know, that might be the way they found out.
I'm not, you have to be evidence driven in what you're doing. And I don't know anything about him. I know he's a state police and he blah, blah, blah. But the idea that, he must have been slipping information to these people, and I certainly hope that's not the case. That would be a scandal of scandals if it was the case. But there's no evidence.
You need proof of it.
Yeah. I mean, I think, the same way, people criticize some of these lunatics and yahoos on the other side for just like throwing bombs without any basis to do so. You want to be careful. You don't want somebody with a little more credibility or a little more wherewithal than, that yahoo who's threatening lawsuits all the time to actually have a basis to do it.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons we have you here. keep us, on the side of the facts. And that's
right.
Another reason why I think this show is done well is that we don't run with crazy shit. We like to be fact-based and have everything backed up. And when people have questions like this, we say, hey, we don't know enough. We're not sure about that.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah.
So, because there is a lot of shit that comes out that kind of you scratch your head, but what does it really mean? I don't know. It's like, like this Kevin Clapp stuff. Where's his proof? That would be my thing. Like he goes and gives like 5-hour interview that I'm supposed to watch, but I'm not seeing much proof. Like, where's the proof besides a guy just talking shit? I mean, I don't know.
I mean, look, if somebody alleged something several years ago and it never went anywhere, it may or may not be true, but it's hard to know, to give it anything other than, wow, that's interesting, if there's no proof.
Yep, exactly. Another question that came up tonight that I thought was a good one, actually, was based on the last trial, the jury, where the jury sat and where the family of John O'Keefe sat and where the family and supporters of Karen Reed sat. Would you, if you were the attorney for Karen Reed, would you ask to flip-flop that, to change that and move maybe ask to have the family move to the other side, or if it's the same courtroom? Do you think that has any effect on the jury?
Well, yeah. And I would assume that's why the O'Keefe family was where they were. The jury's staring at them. And from the DA's perspective, that's the high ground. I mean, you're going to want, your people in direct view, and that's the victim's family. I don't know that you're going to have any basis to flip it unless, you have this issue with security and whatever. I know there was an issue in the beginning where, Paul O'Keefe was staring at her. I mean, it was pretty obvious. As far as I could tell, it kind of stopped after a while, and it never really went anywhere. the problem is the courtroom itself. It's atrocious. I mean, and I know this from experience. I was in there. It for a trial of that magnitude to be held in a courtroom that closet like is embarrassing. And I know they have a nice courtroom, which is embarrassing for a different reason. I mean, the idea that the jurors can't see a witness, I mean, that's terrible. So I think the defense made the right move because assessing credibility is more than words. And I think they were prescient in doing that, notwithstanding the people like, Wendy Murphy laughing at them for that as some kind of delay tactic or whatever. I mean, she is just truly, that's why she lives in Wendy world. She just doesn't know anything at all what it means to be a credible lawyer. But if they're stuck in that courtroom again, I would imagine they're going to be stuck in the same seating arrangement, unless the O'Keefe family complains about one other really interesting detail. And again, having sat there behind the defense side, they can't see the screen. They had one screen, and they're either going to have to bring in another screen, or the people sitting where the O'Keefes are sitting, they can't see anything. The only time anybody on their side ever saw anything on the screen is when Paul would, lean up, which is his right to do. I mean, they have a right to see what the evidence is as much as anyone, but the whole layout of the courtroom is just so flawed. You can't hear anything. And as small as it is, the screen is actually small. It's hard to see. And the defense people are sitting closer to the screen than the jurors. And, I can see well. I have, LASIK X-ray vision. Okay. And you still can't see the written words on the screen. You can see some of the pictures, but I can tell you this, if you can't see from behind the defense side, more importantly, the people that can't see are the jurors. There's no way.
That's not good.
No, not good for anyone. It's not good for either side. It's not good for the right outcome. It's not good I mean, you can't tell because when you're on TV, they focus on it.
Show it close
Yeah.
up.
So you can't tell, but in the courtroom itself, it's horrible. And somebody in the comments is talking about, if you don't speak up, I'm going to turn the air conditioning off. I mean, this is like, we're in the year 2024 in a major sophisticated urban area with the so-called case of the century. And we have to have a judge bellowing and barking at prosecutors and witnesses to raise your voice, or I'm turning the air conditioning off on a 98-degree day.
I'll turn the fan off.
That's
Like,
embarrassing.
really? It's like the scene in Total Recall where they turn the fan off and try to kill everybody. Give these people
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. The other thing is this,
Arnold.
and this is another interesting thing. Obviously the trial has to be public. I mean, that's a right of access. I mean, trials can be reversed if you lock out the public. But the larger courtroom that they moved out of had a lot of seats. And by moving into this place, it's basically invitation only. I mean, literally, there is no public access to this courtroom. I mean, you can watch it on TV, but it really, the whole display was kind of an embarrassing production for the whole country, if not world, to see. I mean, that's not how a trial should look to people.
Yeah, definitely not. It's unfortunate too. Massachusetts looks so backwater. It looks like just we need to invest in these courts. I mean, that's become very clear.
Well, that building is old, obviously, and it's kind of, nice on the outside. It looks very classic. It's got a lot of history. Of course, it totally smells like mold and must throughout the building, which is horrible. But the courtrooms are a disaster. I mean, I've seen some of the courtrooms from watching some videos that occurred previously in Aiden's case. And it's a different courtroom, but it's like the same movie. I mean, there's nowhere to sit. They don't really even have a witness stand. They're just, you stand here and where do I stand? This is not how you should be doing this kind of business. And they have that really nice courtroom, but you can't see the jury. And, if you're the defense, do you not want the jury seeing Jennifer McCabe when she's testifying? No, you need to see that.
You have to see that.
See the scowling. You need to see the eyes darting. It's important. All of it. You need to see the witness chewing gum. You need to see all of it.
Definitely do need to see it. We all
Yep.
watch it. We all watch it the close up at home. So the jury needs to see that too.
Yeah.
I guess I'm trying to think if I've missed anything or I didn't get back to anything tonight. Is there anything else that we should be talking about?
I think you were really thorough about mostly everything, Mike. I think you pretty much hit every top of the lines, every top notch story.
I hope
I'm not
so.
sure if anything was missed. I think we've kind of closed the loop on everything we've talked about for the most part too.
Well,
we got a super chatter who keeps going. This is what I didn't want to happen. I don't like to go after other creators, especially, unless it's like Kevin. It's crazy, and especially Sean. I like Sean. So they're going after Sean. Exactly what Sean on the golf does.
I'm not going.
Honest question on Sean on the golf. We like Sean. I like Sean
a lot.
I do too.
I enjoy having. We come from a same background, I guess. I mean, obviously, lawyer is different than federal officer, but we can talk shop, and I like that. And
yeah,
enjoy his demeanor and attitude, intelligence, knowledge. So yeah,
he was a good athlete too. I like Sean and I have that in common. We both in Mazza. You played sports too. Like, we're Massachusetts sports kids. I like Sean. I mean, I understand. Maybe I didn't agree with him on that one episode he did with that guy, but whatever. It's his show. I don't like people telling me what to do on my show. If you've noticed. So, I mean, I'm not going to be one of those guys. Definitely not telling Sean what to do on his show. He seems to be doing pretty well. A lot of people enjoy his show. I watch it.
Those things.
And I learned a lot from him, actually.
Yeah, no, I have nothing bad to say.
Yeah.
Sean's the man. He's the man.
So there you go, Duke. We answered your honest opinion. I hope it was a genuine question and not one of these trolls trying to conquer and divide people, because I feel like some of that's been maybe going on too. But we answered it, Duke. David says Carlisle's PA's courtroom is from the 19th. Oh, he's talking about what? Pennsylvania? I don't even know what he's talking about. Their 19th century courtroom looks like an IMAX theater compared to that one. So even theirs is better than Massachusetts.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because like in New York, the criminal courthouse in Manhattan, which you would expect ought to be like the quintessentially great, right? Well, it's actually like, a 1940s, post New Deal type of architecture that popped up all over New York. And it's awful. It's all industrial, gray, brown. It's basically like a glorified bomb shelter. I mean, it's like the strongest building you'd ever see. And the criminal courthouse that you see on TV, is like on Law and Order, in every movie, on The Godfather, where Don Barsini falls down the steps and gets shot. That's actually the civil courthouse next door. That's 60 Center Street in Manhattan. That's actually not the criminal courthouse, but they use it on TV. They use it.
Good.
12 Angry Men, the movie. I could go on and on. The dump next door at 100 Center Street is actually the criminal courthouse. So ours kind of stinks too, but the federal courthouse is like from another world.
The Boston federal courthouse is beautiful.
Yeah, you get some of the courtrooms in Manhattan in the upper floors with the broad window to window with the whole view of Manhattan.
Yeah,
it's like that's the place to be in a courtroom.
Have you been to the Boston federal one?
I've been by it. I don't know that I've ever been there.
I used to go there regularly. I had when I was a financial advisor, I had some of the clerks over there were customers. Really? So yeah, I used to eat lunch over there with them, and so beautiful. That place is like just it's like you sit there and go, why do they waste this on a court? Like the only time people get to go see it is when they're going to court. It's like a very nice area there.
Well, it's interesting too, because when federal court is all belts and suspenders, it's very stiff, very rigid, very no nonsense. And usually the physical plant matches, like it's very strict, as opposed to states a little more lax, a little more whatever. And, you end up in the closet.
That's a beautiful one with the glass and the harbor. Just a nice area over there.
Yeah, it is nice. The location's nice.
Since FKR 2024 says Judge Beveridge wouldn't allow tears from Chestnut's mother during that trial, she needs to have the same ruling during Karen Reed's trial.
I mean, listen, I don't know how you tell the mother of a murder, and I'm not talking about Chestnut or Mrs. O'Keefe. I'm brain dead on her name.
Peggy.
Peg, thank you. Whatever people think of her, her son was killed. I don't know how you tell a witness who is testifying about their murdered or deceased child, do it this way. Obviously, you want to protect the rights of the accused and not have it turn into a, but I don't know that making rulings in advance about whether someone's allowed to cry or not is the right way to go. I think you just let it play out and go from there. And by the way, if it doesn't look sincere, then maybe somebody will have the guts to, address that or not. But for a judge, and I didn't know this, to tell Chesna's wife or mother, which was it? Wife, mother, to not cry over your murdered, and by the way, unquestionably murdered son, right? I mean, like shot, right? To not cry. No judge should be doing that.
Yeah, definitely not.
Who are you to tell the mother of a murdered police officer, get up there, but keep it cool? I think that's wrong.
And Duke came back and let us know he's not a troll. He had genuine questions about Sean. So good to hear that, Duke, that you're not one of those trolls. Broken Baker, who's got a show, you should follow his channel as well. We've been on there. He says, honest question, how mean was it to leave Mazza and Broken Baker off the grift list? And was it, I don't even know what that says, because Broken Baker is Danish.
Yeah, well, but here's kind of like a perfect example of what we were talking about earlier, okay? Most of the people who align, on what they call like your side, okay? They're funny, they relate, everyone's happy, everyone's having a good time.
We have lives. A lot of us have lives too.
You're healing each other and having fun. And, so this ridiculous list came out the other day and somebody told me, I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, okay, whatever. And then somebody said, you should sue her. I couldn't tell if they were being serious or not. And I said, I'm not going to sue her.
She's already got 2 lawsuits.
Yeah, but I said, why would I sue her? I feel sorry for her. I
really
pity her to be that angry and miserable. But then the funny joke was, then Mazza said, how come I'm not on this list? And then there was Brandy who said, added him to the list. And this is like a week or 2 days.
Brandy. Thank you, Brandy.
Added.
Yeah. Thank you, Brandy.
And then
that was a good one. Good. That was
Baker came in, and then so I made a comment the other day, and I'm not, I'm coming at this from a little different way than you guys do, but I enjoy it and enjoy all of you. I said, please add Baker, and this nobody asked. I said, please add Baker to the grifter list. He's a grifter, like us.
Come on, Broken Baker is a grifter.
The first 5 or 6 comments that I got, I think people thought I was attacking him.
Yeah, of course.
Do you not know by now
they didn't get the joke.
You're coming in hard and when you're coming in soft? I'm like, no, he clearly belongs on the grifter list. And he, I've talked to him many times, and I know he's listening. And
he's great.
I like his show, but one of the things I love all the time, the way he handles a lot of these lunatics. But he always very calmly says, I will have people with opposite views on the show to discuss. Just be sane.
Yeah.
Just be sane.
I've been looking for one. I mean, remember we tried to get Reddington? I like that. I was like, okay, Reddington's sane. Maybe he'll come on.
I like Reddington.
I know, but anyone sane won't come on. I mean, that's it. There's only a couple sane people and they won't come on. I mean,
when I was getting killed by some of these trolls the other day, he jumped in and said, you people don't know what you're talking about. Whatever, like lawyer to lawyer, it's always different. I don't care that he represents Jennifer.
No, I wanted to have him on because he's saying.
I'm just saying, even whether we talk or not. I don't blame him for having, a client who's, not my cup of tea. The same way I'm sure, the same is true for a lot of other people. I had conversations online with the other guy. What's his name? The one who would represent Colin for a
Joe
while.
Krowski or whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They were lawyerly professional, in other words, it's not personal, but the point is every time, just to go back to what Baker was saying, bring me a sane person. And I've heard you say it before.
Yeah, there are none,
They don't
unfortunately.
and lawyers I get, because I mean it again, you come at it from a different perspective, but some of these public Twitter people, they're not sane.
Yeah,
And
pretty much.
also
all of
the
them.
spelling errors. I mean, they spelled so many people's names incorrectly. I mean, it was outrageous. Everyone's like, they spelled Deanna's last name wrong. They spelled it with an I instead of a Y. What's going on there? I mean, if you're gonna make a list trashing people and saying, well, I claim that these people are out of their minds and they're grifters. Well, can you at least have the decency to spell their names correctly?
Can you imagine sitting around during the day and making a list of the grifters? And then what did she call me? Oh yeah, the grifting shit lawyer, which I actually spit my coffee out. That was funny.
Every once in a while, she is funny unintentionally.
I mean, to have like 37 Twitter accounts, to get in arguments all day, and to spend your days doing nothing but getting angry and threatening lawsuits and making grifter shit lists. Honestly, I don't know how you don't pity someone like that and say, reevaluate, loosen up,
I missed Kimberly. She blocked me. I don't get to see her craziness. Like one of the best things I ever enjoyed from her was when she did the love vote video. You remember? Did you remember that one, Mazza?
I think was that where she had people's faces pasted on? Okay, yeah.
I'm trying to remember who I was. I think
like
I
the
was
love vote?
Yeah. She. Oh, I know.
You must have been the cruise director.
Yeah, she had me as the doctor. Remember doctors? Yeah, doctor.
Well, who was Gopher?
Yeah,
I guess Gopher would be the one you don't want to be.
Yeah.
But no,
And
it's
Tom was Isaac, the bartender, and I think Stubing was Turtle Boy, or maybe Karen Reed. I don't know. Everyone had a part. It was so funny. It was like,
you imagine like sitting around watching the Love Boat, and she's like, you know what? I need to make a video with Mike and Turtle Boy and everyone else's faces on these characters.
I put it up. I put it up on my Facebook. I was like, I love this. This is great. Except I think there was copyrighted music on it, so I couldn't share it everywhere.
Oh yeah.
It was really like, sometimes she does some funny stuff.
It's just it's kind of sad though. I mean,
it's childish. I mean,
just to be that aggressive and nasty like all day it's got to be tiring, I would think.
And no life. That's what I would say. It indicates no life. You focus on everybody else's life but your own.
But why I don't care what your views are on a criminal case, and I don't know why they're so interested in a criminal case. But putting that aside, why does it go from I disagree with you to you grifting shithead, I hate you, I hope you suffer, and that's it, I'm going to sue you?
I'll tell you on that one, it's just with her and with a lot of these people, you can go back. It's because they got exposed by Turtle Boy.
But this is what
that's it.
Right, that's
with her, she
Well,
got exposed posting crazy stuff that got her fired as a teacher's aide. And that's it. It's Turtle Boy. Anyone who
she
supports
hates him.
Turtle Boy.
I'm not saying he's wrong or she is wrong to hate him. She hates him. But how does that now turn into basically taking up occupancy on the island of the misfit toys? I mean, it's
crazy. I mean, if she has any real friends or family, you'd think they would stage an intervention eventually, but apparently she doesn't have anybody. That's pretty much clear. There's nobody in her life that actually gives a shit about her.
I don't want to sound like a 75-year-old, grandfather, but get off the internet.
Yeah. Guarantee you, if she had anyone in her life that actually gave a shit about you, that's what they would be telling her.
It's not just her though. I mean, she's just one example. I just don't understand the gist.
Yeah, there's many other examples.
Yeah, there's many, and they're almost all the same. Turtle Boy wrote a story about them exposing how bad they are. I mean, that's it. She said some horrible shit as a teacher's aide at a public school that you should never say in any situation. You should never say the things she said. And you especially shouldn't do it if you're teaching public school children.
Well,
I mean, and instead of blaming herself for doing that, she blames Turtle Boy for exposing it.
and the funny part is, again, credibility is everything. And when you start talking about people and saying, "Oh my God, they're so rude and so nasty and whatever," and then I know what you're referring to, and you have that in your recent past, stones, glass houses,
Right?
thing, maybe sit that one out, because just move on, read a book.
Yeah. Maybe she should go to a community college and take Logic 101.
I don't know, just
That might change her world if she got into logic and
just relax.
actually figured out how to, how much of a fool she looks like.
It's okay to have an opinion. You think someone's guilty in a case, but it doesn't mean you have to hate everyone and get all upset all the time.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, even Kevin, all the shit Kevin gives us, I don't really care about Kevin. I don't get mad like that. You know what I mean? Maybe for a second, some of the awful shit he said, but I don't think about him. I don't go to sleep thinking about go to sleep thinking about Kevin. I don't wake up in the morning thinking about Kevin or any of these people.
He's just, I mean, his thing is he's quick to try to raise himself by lowering others. And
That's it.
I mean, it's probably just a classic intellectual, inadequacy more than anything else. But that's why, you're the dumb real estate lawyer. You're dumber than this. Everyone's dumb. You're a moron. I mean, it just like those are classic
Inferiority complex. Yeah.
Yeah. It just defense mechanisms to say, I know what I'm talking about. And then you just call everyone morons and say, listen to the evidence. And then you ignore the fact, for example, that you were essentially having an orgasm over the wrong taillight on a video that you were watching in real time.
And you never acknowledge it.
And you never acknowledge it. Okay.
Truth.
And you
Logic,
gotta
evidence.
You put videos of like what looked like a Prius or something, going in the wrong direction, backing in, and you sold that bag of goods to Court TV, and you got to own that. You can't escape that. Okay, so if you're going to talk about logic and evidence means truth, then it might actually help to have logic and evidence before saying you have the truth.
Maybe that's why he's failing. Maybe that's why after being on Court TV week after week after week, he got nothing out of it. His numbers didn't go up. That's what really drives him crazy. Is that other shows are getting the numbers that he feels like he deserves.
Well, the problem with that is he lacks something else. It's called charisma. And when you choose to be a video content creator, it helps to have charisma. It helps to engage, be engaging, have personality. And he has none of those. He's not a likable person.
That's it. Not likable. That's it. He is not likable.
Not an attractive.
I mean, even the way he drinks his drink, he's slurping. I don't even want to do it. I'll freak people out again. So,
and he's dismissive without any reason to be. I mean, we're being critical now, but we're talking in context. And he doesn't really add much, and he professes to be an expert in everything when in fact you're really just an expert in nothing. So
he can make a Bloody Mary. He's pretty good at that, I bet.
He probably is, but if you're trying to sell viewers on engaging them and wanting them to watch you, I don't think hanging out in the attic and bragging about it with the 70s, basement walls in the background. Same thing. You want to sound intelligent. Don't give a closing argument in a wrinkled collared shirt that you pulled out of the hamper.
Did he have the sunglasses on?
No,
sometimes he wears the sunglasses. That's the funniest thing
ever. This is the most important thing. If you really want to sound intelligent and talk about evidence and logic and truth, and you want to sound intelligent in a field of which you know nothing, take it from a real estate lawyer. I know a little bit of law. When you give a closing argument in the wrinkled shirt from the bottom of the hamper, if you're going to do that, at least do that after the defense has put its evidence in, because the way it works, if you're watching, Kevin, and you're going to play this on your show later, summations happen at the close of all of the evidence, not the prosecution evidence. So he gave a summation before the ARCA guys even testified and said, this is my closing argument. So if that's your bag,
I can't believe
okay,
that.
if you find that entertaining or educational or worthy of watching, that's probably why he has 12 viewers.
Half of them are like me. Sometimes I'll watch because of the unintentional comedy. There is some unintentional comedy there. It's just funny. It's just hilarious. Like,
Oh man.
I mean, when he introduces women every time, he's like,
Oh.
she's very attractive. She's a very attractive woman.
That was
She's
gross.
an attractive woman. Like every single time he comments on their looks.
With that deceased woman that he kept telling us many times was like 27 and attractive.
Yeah.
Heard
It's
the
like
first
she's a
four
school
times.
teacher. You
Heard
know,
you
you
the
could have
first
said so
four
many other things about her.
No, I mean, look, the other thing, and then I'll be done with this because what's the point? His shtick also is to try to engage you in battle and then say, let's duke it out in public so he can attract viewers.
Yeah.
And the reality is, as I said before, I would never be seen in. I actually got one time, I don't know if I told you guys, I got invited to go on Court TV and I said, I won't go on if he's on. I won't do it. Same as it was right around
Mazza. Mazza did the same
you.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I told him point blank, I won't go on. There was another podcast that I don't need to name, I think wanted to have him on, and he was going to be on. I said, I'm not doing it. There's just no point. I don't want to do anything that's going to add any value or credibility to what he's selling, because nobody should buy what he's selling.
Yeah, and half of his people that watch are people that don't like him. I mean,
Well, yeah, it's like the freak show effect. I mean, that's a real thing in life. I mean, sometimes you like to see stuff. I mean, I don't do it. I'm not interested. And I mean, look, it's a free country. He's entitled to do whatever he does, but he ought to just try it without being so dismissive and rude to everyone else. And I mean, I got to tell you, what he did last week with Brandy to me was like a whole new level of just what a repulsive human being he is. That was so gratuitously nasty and uncalled for, that she was like a non-combatant. And even when he, Kevin the episode you saw last week of like, Kevin leaves the attic to goes to court, and he's out there laughing with that ridiculous song that somebody made.
Yeah.
The Justice for John O'Keefe crowd that they call themselves is playing like songs about like Proctor's text, like the same content, and he's sitting in there laughing, and you're just sitting there like, you want to be taken seriously? You're a clown. I mean, he's out there. I mean, he looked like Egghead from Batman.
He does. Yeah, we had a question. It was they're talking about Kevin. Yeah, Kevin did that to Brandy. That's who Attorney Bederow is talking about. Kevin.
Plevin Beyond the Cottage is live outside at Norfolk Superior Court here in Dedham House.
I just find him so repulsive.
He's pompous. He's arrogant. Yeah, it's
the arrogance.
I care about the arrogance, the nastiness, the gratuitous nastiness for no reason. To try to elevate his intelligence by stepping on other people's issues is gross.
Yeah.
He did that to Sean McDonough too, about the alcohol thing. Like he's just just a nasty person.
Well, he couldn't be like, I mean, I'm sure his jealousy of somebody like Sean. I mean, first of all, look at the difference. Remember, we talked about one of the ways to be successful is to be charismatic. Now, Sean has charisma like oozing off.
Exactly.
The guy is, even if you don't like him, we all like him, but he is just fun to talk to, fun to watch, fun to listen to, engaging, the kind of guy you'd love to just hang out and say, let's have a drink and just shoot the shit. He's got charisma oozing out of everywhere, as opposed to this other guy. I mean, so obviously he's going to be 1,000 times more successful. The other thing that he has that the other guy doesn't is what's known as a career.
Knowledge.
He was in law enforcement. He has real sources. He knows how it works. He's not like some buff in the attic pretending to know how things work. Because I spoke to a trooper one time. He was in law enforcement for decades. So it's understandable why he would be so jealous of someone like Sean.
Exactly. It's so obvious why Sean was good at his job too, because a lot of it was cultivating informants, and people had to like you.
That's right.
He gets along with everybody. Like Sean's the type of person. I think it helped me when I was a financial advisor, because I had the same kind of ability. I could meet with the CEO and be comfortable, but I could also meet with the custodians. Like I think that Sean's the same way. Where Sean, no matter who it is, they like him.
Yeah. I'll bet you in his heyday, he was what the feds would call a real old school brick agent. They were guys who worked the streets. They didn't live.
Exactly.
They didn't live in the office. They lived on the street, and that's where they did what they did and made their relationships and got stuff done. But as you know, the difference, the dichotomy between the yellow attic guy and Sean, I mean, it couldn't be any more different.
So we have a question for Mark. Mark, do you need a legal assistant? They're asking.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm in New York. It's a little different.
A little different. Are you in New York? That's the question. Would ask the. Where's her name? Dalia.
I don't know. Stay tuned. In the next several months, there could be a lot more time in Massachusetts, though. So we'll see.
Okay. Now you're gonna get 8 million messages on Twitter offering that they all want to be your legal assistant. You know that now.
That's okay.
Good. So I guess, what are your final thoughts tonight? It's 8:48. We've been going for what, 2+ hours now.
Yeah.
We'll go with Mazza first. Would you have any final thoughts or anything you want to share, or even remind people about all these things that are going on?
Yeah, I'm going to drop the link in the comments right now for turtleboysgivesendgo.com, and it just blocked me from doing it. And out of this, for some reason, out of this StreamYard. But
it's at the top of the chat.
Oh, it's at the top
YouTube.
of the chat. Okay, great.
It's someone just before you say that, someone sent me $20 on the Venmo app, and they wrote Mazza. So I think that they thought that was going to the Turtle Boy Fund. So I'm going to add another 20. We'll do 40 tonight. The Turtle Boy.
Perfect.
That was Pamela. Thank you for the donation, Pamela.
Perfect. All right. So, yes, go to the Give Send Go for Turtle Boy to help raise money for his defense fund tonight. Doing a 20 for 20 challenge where I personally donated $20 to the fundraiser, and I'm just challenging everyone to match that. Some people have actually topped that. And either way is fine. All you have to do to be counted towards the overall total is when you put your message or there's a little message box in there. Make sure you write Mazza Media, something like that's fine, or Mazza Media Turtle Boy Challenge. And I can count that towards the total. I'm going to tabulate the full total tomorrow. I actually got it up to about the total up to about 890 as of prior to this show. And I've seen a lot of donations rolling in throughout the course of the show. Thank you, everyone, so much. And we're going to raise money for Turtle Boy and his defense fund as he continues to take on all these ridiculous charges that he is charged with. And we're going to continue to help him out. And then in the time to come, I'm also going to be doing a Karen Reed one that I'll announce in a few days as well. And the Turtle Boy Challenge concludes tonight. But if you do go past the deadline tonight at midnight, I'm probably not going to count it till tomorrow afternoon anyways. So feel free to donate. And as always, always donate regardless of whether there's a challenge or not. Donate to Karen Reed and donate to the Canton 9. And we'll continue to raise money and show support for them. And we should be good to go. So free Karen Reed, free Turtle Boy, free the Canton 9. And the standouts are Sunday. I posted those links on my page. Paul Cristoforo has posted them on his page. And tomorrow night, I'm going to be doing a standout special on my own channel at 5 o'clock with Paul Cristoforo and Deanna Corby, who will be joining me to talk about all the locations, all the times, all the details, and everything you need to know about Sunday's standouts. And on Sunday, I will be live streaming from at least one, maybe even two of those standouts myself, and mingling with people. And if you have any suggestions of where you want me, let me know. But I'll be out there. And
I was going to ask you, where you might be?
I might be Auburn or Millbury, might be one of them. And I might be going out towards the Canton area, potentially, or Foxborough area, somewhere in those neighboring towns. I'm still eyeballing a few towns about, not too far from Gillette Stadium. So it might be a few towns in that area. I might coordinate with a few people and say, hey, Mazza, meet us here. And I'll say, okay, all right, I'll be there. So I want to go to, yeah.
You gonna
I
hit
might
the
try
Red
to hit
Robin?
one too.
Gonna hit the Red Robin after
Yeah.
Foxborough?
Yeah, at Foxborough. Yeah, I was out there last night. I got to see Metallica for free. Listen to Metallica for free last night. After I was on LTL, I drove a few miles down the road and was on. I hadn't been to Gillette in the longest time. Like, I never saw that new tower, so I'm like, I go down there and Metallica's playing. I'm like, oh, let me listen in for a bit, and then stopped at Bar Louie for some chicken quesadillas. And I don't drink alcohol, and if I do, it's occasional. So I drink seltzer water. I drink seltzer water at the bar. So I was probably the only person drinking non-alcoholic, but that's okay. Yeah, I had chicken quesadillas. Great night. Saw Metallica. I've never seen Metallica in my life, so I got to hear them, and at least from outside the stadium, which was really cool. And actually, some wonderful woman walked up to me and says, "Are you Mazza Media?" I go, "Yes, I am." We talked for about 10 minutes until her family's like, "We got to go. Stop talking to this guy, Mazza Media. Let's leave."
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
You got recognized.
Yeah, it was good. I'm excited. I'm pumped up for this weekend, and we're not going to stop. And it's going to be an awesome day Sunday, and we're going to continue to send a message throughout the course of this state, and the message of free Karen Reed will vibrate throughout this state. The ground will shake, and it's going to be a message we're going to continue to send. And we ain't got no quit.
That's right. 5 p.m. tomorrow night. You're doing a show. I want to watch that. I want to see
Thank
Deanna
you.
McCorby. I haven't seen her
Yeah.
on any shows. I meant to get her on this show.
Yeah,
We've been talking over the months and it never happened. So I'm
yeah, that's
excited
good.
to see her on your show tomorrow night.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to have her. So I can't wait. It's going to be a great show. Very fired up. And I heard she did a great job organizing a lot of this. And Paul let me know that too. He's like, yeah, she did a great job organizing it. She's been awesome. So I'm looking forward to actually talking with her for the first time.
Gonna be great. I'm looking forward to
Yep.
watching that. And Sunday I might go too. We'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if I have time, if I can get out there, I'm gonna try to hit one of those too on Sunday. It'll be fun.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, Mike.
Attorney Bederow, what do you have for us? Final thoughts tonight?
It's interesting listening to all this talk about statewide standouts and this and that, and this is going on. And, to have to go through this for 2 years, at least another 5 or 6 months, there's ups and downs, and I'm sure it gets demoralizing. You thought it'd be over, maybe a month ago, and now you realize it's not. And I don't want to speak for Karen Reed or her people, because I don't know the answer or what they're thinking, but I can only imagine that all of this constant discussion, these standouts, this support has got to be so invigorating and encouraging, motivating, to just be able to just keep going. And it's astounding. And I can speak from a lawyer's perspective, not these lawyers, but it works with lawyers too. And there's no question that, even from just these guys are lawyers, we all think basically wiped out 90% of the case in fact, if not in law. But you realize, oh shit, I have to do this again. And we have to do all this work for 6 months. And that's exhausting and that's tiring. And for some of the lawyers who don't even live anywhere near, you're talking like 2,000 miles away from their families, it has to be so charging of the batteries and reinvigorating to get back into it, to just see this constant support, and you guys have no idea how motivating that can be for the lawyers as well as the client. And I think David even might have alluded to that last week, talking about how it felt like the Patriots coming out for the Super Bowl or something. Did he say something like that? Just about,
Yeah, he did. Just like that about the
Right.
Patriots in the Super Bowl. Yep.
and so I don't know how, and these people who go out every day for a trial, I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you go out every weekend. I don't know how you just keep doing this. We just sit in an office for a couple hours shooting the shit about stuff. That's easy. But beyond raising money, which is important too, I'm sure the family tells you guys this, but what it's got to do for them, the family, the client, the lawyers, it's got to be a huge help. So keep doing it, because it does matter.
Excellent. I want to thank you both for being here tonight. It was great to have you
Thank
again.
you.
Mazza, we got a comment here on Metallica. They said you need to see Metallica live once in your life. You did.
Yeah.
I saw them at the Monsters of Rock back in the 80s. That was
Hey.
like before they were big. It was like with Van Halen, they were opening up, and
I remember that, but I didn't need to see Metallica because I saw Eddie Munson, right, in Stranger Things.
Yeah, that's
there you
right.
go.
That's
doing
right.
NASCAR
Eddie
bumping.
Munson,
That was good enough.
great character.
I got to catch up on Stranger Things. I've seen
Oh,
a
it's
little
amazing.
bit of it, but I need to watch that whole thing. That was pretty good,
We,
huh?
we watched it
Especially
twice.
the music.
The 8-year-old wants to do another rewatch.
There you
So-
go.
Here we go. I see you in a month.
I may be joining you. See,
Yeah,
this is what's beautiful thing about this little break. I'm getting to catch up on all the TV stuff now.
right. Yeah, I got it into Cobra Kai. I got back into Cobra Kai. I
Oh,
watched
no
the new
way.
season. Only 5
Karate Kid.
episodes, and the rest doesn't come out till November. Then the last 5 episodes don't come out till like February or March of next year. So they're splitting it up. But
I aborted
It's,
after season 3. I couldn't. I
Wax on? Do they do the wax on, wax off? Or
they
is
do.
it
There's some episodes. It's a
You
great
know,
show, Mark. Come on.
I ate the Karate
Stranger.
Kid, oh, look at this. Let's all go back to those days. And after like 3 seasons of
too much? That's what
yeah,
I think I would get to.
Daniel
Yeah.
LaRusso car dealership owner, and once they brought back what's his face, the sensei who looks like he's 95.
Pat
years-
Morita?
No, he's
They got a new guy?
Terry Silver.
Oh yeah,
all
the bad guy.
yeah,
Terry Silver. Yeah, the
Cobra
ponytail
Kai
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cobra Kai.
too ridiculous.
I love
Sweep the leg. Sweep the leg. Take his leg out.
no mercy, Mister.
Yeah, the evil coach.
Right.
Yeah.
But Stranger Things, of course, if you're a kid of the 80s, is
Oh yeah.
even though it's not consistent, they bounce around. There's no question they're not chronological with the 80s stuff. But
Yeah.
if you can get past that stuff, and about a year and a half ago, they had like a Stranger Things exhibit in Manhattan, and we took the kids to that, and it was awesome. I mean, just you could go through like the crazy fun house with the Christmas lights blinking and just all the Demogorgon crap and good stuff. I like it. So watch it.
Awesome. I'm gonna definitely check that series out. I still haven't. I tried watching it with my girlfriend. She didn't want to watch it. Too much sci-fi or whatever it was. She don't
You
like
know
that
what
angle.
though? But I mean, again, if you're of a certain age, it's just
I know she'll like the music too. That's the thing. I keep telling her.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna
Oh, the
like this 'cause
music.
of the music.
yeah, the music.
We're
you'll
big
def-
into music.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm
problem
big into
is-
yeah.
No, the problem is that the last season, which is going to be next year, it will have been like a solid 3 years since the last one, and with
Yeah.
COVID and everything, so they're grown up. I mean, hell, the main character who was a kid is like married to Bon Jovi's son now.
Kid, yeah.
Jeez.
She's 20 years old. They're supposed to be like
Yeah.
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 year olds, but other than that,
Awesome. Everyone's loving the 80s nostalgia right
Oh, yeah.
now.
I could talk about that for hours.
Oh,
Yeah.
for
I
sure.
could talk about all the concerts. That's
Ghostbusters,
I could tell you
Terminator.
everyone who played on
Back
Monsters
to the
of Rock
Future.
that day.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
Back to the
They
Future,
still
yeah.
have Great Woods. What do they call Great Woods now? Didn't they call it the Tweeter Center for a
Yep,
while?
Tweeter Center. Is it the box? No, that's in Boston. I don't even know. Yeah,
MCU or something. I don't know.
yeah. I still call it Great Woods.
Yeah.
I still call it the Boston Garden. I don't know what it is now. Is it the
The
Fleet
Garden.
Center? The
Oh, it's the
Shaman
Garden.
Center?
It's the
Yeah,
TD Garden.
TD
Yeah, they call it
Garden,
the Garden again. Yeah.
No real Celtics fan will ever call it the TD Garden.
Yeah, you
No,
just call it
no,
the
not at
Garden.
all. No, it's just the
Boston
Garden. Yeah.
It's the Garden.
I like the Fleet Center name for a while. Then after a
Xfinity.
while,
That's
I'm like,
what the Great Woods is now.
Oh,
remember when
Xfinity,
it was-
apparently.
It was the
Yeah.
Shaman Center for like 2 weeks.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you
Comment
remember
back.
Gillette Stadium was really like CMGI Field or
Yes.
something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Then it ended up changing before it ever opened. Yeah. Thankfully that changed. I didn't like that originally.
When I was a financial advisor, one of the managers had the CMGI license plate because he made so much money on that stock. But I wonder if he got rid of it because he probably lost everything on it. Like that stock, like I don't know what happened to it, but it went way down afterwards. So it's funny, like how CMGI was big for like a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are they still around? Like what the hell are they now?
I don't even know.
I haven't heard of
Yeah.
them in 20
Yeah.
years, 22 years. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's hilarious. That guy also made a killing on a parking space in Boston.
Jeez.
Parking lots is where it's at.
Like you just
Yeah.
buy a parking spot for like $5,000. A year later, you sell it for like 150 grand or something. Like it was like one of those deals. Like
Jeez.
he held it for like a year or two and just like quadrupled his money easily.
Jeez. That's a
Parking
good idea. I
spaces
might
in
invest in
Boston.
parking spaces in Boston.
Yeah, North End
Yep. Have my own
or what's he? A Beacon Hill.
meter. Yeah.
All right, I want to thank you guys so much for
Thank
being
you.
here. Attorney Bederow and Mazza Media. We'll catch up again. Soon. I'm sure.
Yep.
I don't know when.
Yep.
Whenever there's news, we'll see. Right.
There's going to be news. There's going to be big news coming soon, August 9th. So in Dedham, and I'm going to be there. So I'm heading.
You're going to
back
be
out
there for that.
I'm
looking
taking
forward
another
to
day
that.
off from work. I can't wait to be out there again. So
Excellent.
free Karen Reed.
And there'll be some probably news next week at the Canton Select Board meeting. We'll see what happens there too.
Yeah. Yeah. Virtual news.
Yeah,
Yeah.
online. Jeez.
Shout out
Good
to
night,
Kelly.
guys. Have a great rest of your weekend. Thank you again so much for being here.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Shout out to Kelly Reed in the comments. Good night.
Good
Take care.
night.
Bye.
Bye now. And thank you, Kelly Reed, in the comments tonight. I didn't even see her. Thank you for being here. I want to thank everyone for supporting. Felt like I had something else to get to. I don't even know what it is. I think I got all the super chats up today. Was there anyone that I didn't get up that's mad at me right now? No, I think we're all good, right? Yeah. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for all the subscriptions. Thank you for everyone who's been gifting subscriptions. I want to thank our moderators, MJ, Stephanie, Jen, and Miss Shorty. Thank you so much. I think Miss Shorty's live tonight too. You should check her out too. She's got a good show. I think it's tonight with Nurse Kim. Check that out too. I'll be watching that tonight. All right, everyone have a great night. I hope I got all the super chats. I think I did. I'm just going through and looking to see if I missed any, but I think I got them all. Thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you soon. Oh, you know what I want to mention is Tuesday, definitely select board meeting. I believe that's this Tuesday. We'll be streaming it. There's also going to be a Tuesday morning post-commission hearing that I'll be streaming. It's going to be a bunch of those for police officers. So it looks like the next 3 Tuesday mornings, I think I'm going to be streaming in the morning. The post-commission, they're the ones who certify police officers. They also hear complaints against police officers. They also take certifications away. So if you're a bad cop and you get a lot of complaints and they're true, they do get heard now in Massachusetts, and they can take your certification away. And it's looks like it's happening to a bunch of cops related to the Sandra Birchmore case. So I'll be covering that on Tuesday morning as well, streaming that. So check it out. It looks like Tuesday will be a big day for us in terms of streaming the select board meeting that night at 7 p.m., their Zoom meeting, as well as the post-commission hearing about the police officer. I think it's Divine. I'm not sure if, no, maybe it's Farwell. I'm not sure which cop it is, but Tuesday morning, we'll be streaming those too. So check it out. If you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, follow us, especially on YouTube. I want to thank everyone who's been subscribing and following us. If you haven't, about half of you watch and you never subscribe, please do so. All right. Have a great night. Great weekend, everyone. We'll see you soon. Bye.